Hey everybody. If you do hear booming coming from somewhere, we are not having a thunderstorm. Steve is in there watching one of the later Star Trek movies, so he says it's almost over. And not that I want him to leave the living room, but I kind of hope it is because you know, speaking of things being distracting, that hey, blissful, that is very distracting for me to hear that big booming while my intro was going on. I was like, what is that sound? I was like, did it just start storming all of a sudden? Because sometimes it does. um but I went in there and I asked Steve, I was like, is that this movie that's making that booming? We have a pretty decent, I'm not bragging or anything, but we do have a pretty decent sound system now. So loud, in fact, that a lot of times I can hear movies that Steve is watching outside. If he's watching Marvel movies or something like that, where there's a lot of explosions and all of that, you can definitely, it will make our windows rattle. So if you have this sound system turned up very high, you definitely couldn't use this in an apartment environment or anything like that. Anyway, hopefully the booming will stop. Hey, Texas, hopefully the booming will stop here in just a little bit. And by the time we get the movie started, which the movie tonight, in case you guys weren't sure, is Eyes of a Stranger. Tomorrow night's watch along will be Animal House, the John Landis joint. Hey, Scott. It's nice to see you in here. I hadn't seen you in here for a while. I have, as I hope you guys have, popcorn or your snack of choice. I've got it in my nice little popcorn bucket. As I've said before, I noticed that Rob and Kelly also have these same buckets. So I wasn't sure if they ordered from Amazon as well as I did. I also, of course, have my Ghost Energy drink, the sour watermelon, in my Return of the Living Dead drink cozy that I got around Halloween uh, a year or so ago. So I am all ready to get started. I keep forgetting to put my little picture of my popcorn container on these advertisements, or the promotional stuff that I put out. Okay. Um, First off, I'm just going to talk briefly. Thank you, Blissful. You say you need to get one. Yeah, these are really cool, and really, in all honesty, they're pretty reasonably priced. So they're definitely affordable, even if you're on a budget, like I really should be. you know. Um, so I did want to preface everything by, I'm not going to talk about it very long because I think I said pretty much all I had to say about it last night. But for those of you either not in the know, or for those of you that were confused by the video last night, and not sure what I was on about last night, um, basically, in a nutshell, it's about, let's limit the distractions that we have when multiple people are live on the stream. And by that, I mean just to, if you're on the stream and you don't have earbuds or headphones, you might want to turn down your sound on your device, whether it's your computer or your cell phone or whatever you're using, so that we don't have an echo. Also, try your best not to have things playing loudly, like other streams, movies, television shows, music. Uh, because people might not realize this, and that's the main reason I was bringing it up, is that the others in the stream can hear you or hear what's playing, and it's very distracting to someone, especially if they're trying to concentrate and tell a serious story. So, and then the other part of it was just for us all to be respectful to each other, our likes, our dislikes, whatever. Not that anything has happened. Nobody has been um, mean to anybody in that way. But the sound issue has started to become a problem, especially when I have more than one person. And actually, speaking of distracting, I think Brandon's making a noise in there. So permit me to go step away for just a second. Brandon, you need to lay down now. I have not. Yes, I probably should. I'm trying to do this. Brandon has to be your field doctor. Oh, come on. You're not the first man to get a real from murdering someone. I see it all the time. What? Don't kill me. Have you killed anyone? This is about saving the future of humanity. Oh, get some food down. Okay, guys, so sorry. Um, but Brandon was whining like crazy, and so when I went in there, Steve said, "Well, did you give him his night sleeping pill?" And I was like, "No." And sorry, guys, something in my teeth. I ate pizza a little bit earlier, and there's some little like tomato pieces that get in the sauce, and I think that's what it was. So, what was I talking about? Oh, talking about distractions on here. So, um, I don't want to add to any possible future distractions, but just so we don't have to stop anything and call anybody out if this occurs again with anybody, um, I have found a video on YouTube um, of a beeping sound effect. And I swear, so sorry, guys. But that's bothering me, and I hate to have stuff stuck in my teeth when I'm doing these streams. I keep seeing it on camera, and it's like driving me crazy. Um, anyway, I have a video that I found on YouTube that has just a little beeping sound effect. I thought about using a tornado siren. I was like, no, that's too annoying. So and kind of unnerving. So what I have is this just kind of like a digital, sounds like a video game beeping sound. And I'm going to play it for you guys really quickly, just to show you how it sounds. Not that. So, I swear, I can't get things right here. I'm just going to share the screen so that you guys can hear what I'm talking about here. So, stop sharing the screen there. So that is just a little 3-second beep So, if any of you that are live on the stream with me hear that beep, unless I do it by accident, which I hope I don't, because that would be super annoying. That means that somebody is either got something too loud in the background, or there's an echo, or they're just being a jerk and have said something not very nice. Okay, that'll be the warning signal. Okay, that means you've got a second chance to fix whatever's going on. Okay, I'm not trying to be an asshole about this, guys. I'm just trying to make things better for everybody. Okay, and this stuff goes for me too. These rules are for me too, not just you guys. Okay, so that'll be the warning. If it happens again, I will not kick you from the stream, but you will be removed from the live stream. So you get a warning, the beeping warning. The next time it happens, you get removed from the stream and you got to go back to being in the chat. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up, just go over it a little bit. And if you guys want more information, because I wasn't going to regurgitate what I talked about last night. I know regurgitate's a yucky word, but I wasn't going to go through all 15 or 16 minutes of what I talked about last night. The video is still up on the channel. If you guys want to go and watch it and get more information of exactly what I'm talking about, you are definitely free to do so. So, I text you, say, Blissful got me a nice microwave popcorn popper and some gourmet popcorn. That sounds really, really good. I love gourmet popcorn. This isn't gourmet popcorn, but I do like it from time to time. Well, thank you, Blissful. You say, not at all, Dana. You're trying to make everyone comfortable. Yes, that is exactly right. I am trying to make everyone comfortable. And like I said last night, I'm trying to make these streams as best as they can be. Okay. So, golly, there was something else I thought I was going to bring up before I talked about the big thing, and it totally went out of my brain. Well, maybe I'll think of it before the end of tonight. So, yeah, I'm just totally not remembering it. Maybe it wasn't anything. Okay. And this next thing I'm going to talk about is, I could talk about it on the Daily Grindhouse, but I'm like, what the hey? I'll do something else for the Daily Grindhouse. But for those of you that did not notice the new, I remember. I just now remember what I was going to talk about before that. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Blissful was one, Kelly was the other. And there might be more of you that just didn't think to say anything to me. And Steve says this has happened to him as well. That you are not getting the notifications when I'm going to have a video out or when I'm going to have a live stream. I'm not really sure what's causing it. I thought maybe if you didn't receive a notification for the one last night, maybe because it wasn't really a live stream. But then Kelly told me, like the last few live streams I did, she didn't get a notification. So the best thing I can tell you guys is maybe it's a YouTube glitch. And as CK says, click that bell, that notification bell that shows up on the videos. And maybe if it is a YouTube glitch, that will kind of re-energize it and let you guys know again when I'm having a stream. Blissful, you say you weren't getting notifications yesterday at all. Now, Steve told me that people told him the last one he did through Dead Pit that they didn't get any notifications. So, again, that kind of leads me to believe that YouTube's having some issues. there. But I would suggest that if you don't mind, if you want to click that bell notification again on my videos, maybe that'll kind of kickstart it into to giving you notifications again. Okay, so on to the next thing. For those of you that did not see the promotion I just put up maybe a couple of hours ago or so for something new that I'm going to try. Hey, 71. Um, and I'm primarily doing this because Last Drive-In's getting ready to go on hiatus for a little bit. Uh, they're just going to break up the episodes. So last night was the last drive-in for a little bit until I believe the 23rd of June. So I got the idea. Why don't I just and I have no affiliation with Shutter or the Last Drive-In or anything like that. I'm not on the inside track with them. This is something that I came up with on my own. I thought for people that, and I'm sorry for the bumping back there. Brandon is, I just gave him his sleep medicine, but he hasn't settled down yet. So he may be knocking against that sliding door a little bit. So I do apologize for that. So I got the idea. See, talk about distracting. That's distracting to me. Brandon, I know he can't help it, but it's, my gosh, it's super distracting. That I can't even keep my train of thought here. I thought in the interim, while they are on hiatus, that I would do my own thing and kind of try to do the Joe Bob thing and do drive-in totals and stuff like that, and have a drive-in movie stream every Friday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time, until such time as Last Drive-In comes back on the air, which will be or should be June 23rd. Okay. So I got about 4 weeks of Fridays starting this next Friday where I can do this. And it'll be sort of similar to the watch alongs that I do on the weekend. Only it will be a double feature, just like the Last Drive-In. I'll be, I won't be showing the movies, but we can all watch them together. It's just that everybody will watch them on their own, so I don't get kicked off of YouTube. Scott, you say with Dead Pit, you get the Twitch notification and not, so it's not coming from YouTube. So it definitely may be a YouTube issue. Unless what you say, sometimes it helps to unsubscribe and then subscribe again. There's another option too. Scott, I did not get the Fast and Furious toolbox for popcorn. I've got the Scream 6 Ghostface one coming, but it's not coming until August. Liz, what you say, you get Twitch notifications as well. So were you, well, I guess if I didn't, if I don't advertise it on Twitch, then that wouldn't help with it. Okay, what was I saying? Sorry, guys. So I took some cold medicine a little earlier, so it may make me a little distracted as well, a little fuzzy headed and all that. So anyway, I'm going to try this out to having drive-in movie night. This week, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern time, it's going to be Darcy Appreciation Night. And since they never have been able so far to show Halloween 3 on Shutter for the Last Drive-In, we're all gonna, or whoever joins me on here, will be watching Halloween 3 and Creepshow Because why? Because Tom Atkins is in both of these movies. I mean, I could have picked The Fog or something like that, but I thought I haven't done a watch along for Creep Show, so why don't we do that? I am also I contacted Darcy through Twitter. I'm hoping that she gets the message in time. I'm hoping that she can join me, but I sent her the StreamYard link, the invite, and I asked her if she'd be interested in doing a drive-in movie night with me. And I gave her the date, like I said, and the time, and gave her the StreamYard link. And so I'm hoping I can get her to join me on here, which would be really, really cool. Um, and I'm also going to be having snacks like popcorn and soft drinks, and I may do hot dogs one week, a slice of pizza one week. And you guys, feel free to join in on that food portion part of it if you would like. I would love to have multiple people on the stream um, with me as well, just like for the regular watch alongs. Um, well, thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, Dana, I love this idea. It was just something that came into my head kind of late last night, and then I thought about it more today. So I do have promotion up for it. Just I wanted to go ahead and put it out there so that it would be out early enough so people could maybe plan if they wanted to attend or not. Um, also, what's next week's movies, the watch alongs. Let's see. The 27th will be Happy Birthday to Me, followed on Sunday. Well, shoot. I think I may do it Sunday on the 28th, even though the 28th is actually when I'm supposed to do the prom night commentary with the Dead Pit Boys. Sorry, guys. So I may go ahead and do Dazed and Confused um, as the Sunday one. If something changes, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Um, but I'll do it early enough that so I can get done and be ready, at least by 9:30 so I can get on over to StreamYard for the Dead Pit commentary or watch along for prom night or fan commentary, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Scott, I agree. Joe Bob was good last night too from the 80s. Yes, in case those of you in here did not get to see it last night, Joe Bob showed The Mutilator, which is one of my favorites, followed by Possession, starring Sam Neill. A very young Sam Neill, by the way. But I wasn't feeling too good and was kind of wiped out. So I didn't get to really enjoy it like I would have liked to. And I slept through most of The Mutilator, which made me mad because I love that movie. And I've always wanted to watch Possession. I've always heard a lot about it. And so I only got to watch parts of it last night in between taking care of Brandon and trying to catch some Z's. So I'd like to go back and watch that again because what was happening was I was seeing like certain parts of it and I was like, what in the hell? Why is Sam Neill beating the shit out of his wife? Is this real or is this in her head or what is going on here? So I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch it at some point. Okay. Future watch alongs. Again, June 3rd will be Killer Workout, followed on June 4th, which is a Sunday with Death Ball. June 10th, which is a few days after my birthday. My birthday is the 6th. We will be doing Bloody Birthday, followed on Sunday by Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Okay. And then I'm sure I'll have some other things coming up for the future. Um, I don't know, honestly, other than Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Oh, and Wednesday, what I will be doing this coming week. It remains to be seen, right? So I do know, barring anything happening, that Wednesday, TJ and I will start covering the first half of the third and final season of Monsters episodes. And like I said, beyond Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and Wednesday, I'm not really sure. Texas, you thought possession was very disturbing, so use caution. Okay. I will keep that in mind. Um, the parts I saw looked disturbing, but like I said, it was in and out of nodding off. Um, just because I was so tired and having to be preoccupied with taking care of Brandon. So now that I've got all of that, excuse me, guys, I've had this cough. It seems like everything makes me cough anymore. Okay, so gonna go ahead and have the intro to the Daily Grindhouse, and then gonna do that, and then soon after we'll go ahead and get the movie started, Eyes of a Stranger. So here we go. All righty. So real quickly, as I told you guys last night, was it last night? Not last night. So sorry. Uh, Thursday, I guess. I had not gotten a chance to watch my new 4K from Second Sight of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Last night, I did really quickly before I started falling asleep again. And guys, it looked freaking fantastic. So I guess what other people were saying is true, and it was not just CK that said it. Not that I don't trust CK, but yeah, the rumors are true with that. That one looks awesome. I highly recommend it if you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan. If you can get a hold of the limited edition, I think it's well worth it. Only if you're a fan of the movie. If you're not really a huge fan of the movie, then maybe if you want to see the 4K of it, maybe think about. Swear, I was just checking this to make sure the little. It looks like the little nose pad is, well, maybe it's not. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the messy hair. Um, it looked like these little nose pads that I have to buy nose pads to stick on my newer glasses because um they slide down on my face if I don't. So, and then since these are stick on ones, if I sweat or something too much on my face, eventually they'll come loose from there and I have to replace them. So that's about all I wanted to talk about was how fantastic the Texas Chainsaw Massacre looks on that Second Sight 4K. Blissful, you said my dog keeps starting to vacuum. It scares me half to death. You got one smart dog there, Blissful. Um, Scott, you say possession is a trip. The movie is people screaming at each other while spinning around and acting weird and violent. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that, and I was like, "What in the hell? What's going on here?" That's why I really need to sit down and watch it properly. Uh, Bliss, we say messy hair, don't care. My motto. My mom actually, speaking of messy hair and hair in general, I think a couple of Christmases ago, my mom got me a little wooden sign that actually right now sits on my bearded dragon Ernie's terrarium towards the back of it. And it says, "Dog hair don't care." And, as I've said before, we have 5 dogs in the house. So I just thought that was cute and set it up. Texas, you say, "Yay, it's so amazing. It cleared the grain and the print is so pristine now. Well worth it." I agree, Texas. I agree. Okay. So we're about to get ready to watch this movie. Unfortunately, I was not able to find a separate like YouTube link or something like that for free to watch it. I'm not sure if it's on Prime. I didn't really look that close, but now didn't find it on the usual suspects. I didn't find it for free on YouTube or Tubi or any of that. So I hope for those of you that are watching tonight, either you have found somewhere online to watch it properly, or you have a DVD or Blu-ray of it to watch it on. Okay. So mine is queued up right at the Warner Brothers, where the Warner Brothers logo, the old Warner Brothers logo is appearing. Okay. Um, so I'll give everybody a few minutes that's going to be watching the movie with me to get all queued up, and give you two or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes to get everybody queued up that's going to watch. And at the same time, I want to ask, and I can put the link back in the chat for those of you that didn't see it earlier and you want to join in live on the stream with me for this commentary, or watch along rather. Sorry, got distracted again. I heard Darcy barking. And Steve is probably getting ready to go lay down soon. That's probably what all the commotion is. Again, when you have 5 dogs, it's just any little thing will get them stirred up. And so, if there is anybody that wants to join me live on the stream with or without a webcam, just let me know. Also, let me know if you want me to put the link to come in live on the stream back in the chat. Otherwise, I will be talking about this movie alone, and hopefully I won't bore you guys too much with it. This is not a very long movie at all. I think it's about an hour and 28 minutes or something like that. Hour and 28 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, something like that. Texas, you say everything I checked you had to pay. What's that archive site you use sometime? That is archive.org, Texas. But I will tell you, it's a little hard sometimes to search that site. So what I do sometimes, and I'm not sure how John, John told me he finds a lot of things on internet or archive.org. But I don't think he goes to the site either directly. I think he just searches for them a certain way. Like I put the movie title in and put archive.org after it, like in the search, like on Google or something. And sometimes it'll come up, but I'll be totally honest, that kind of search did not give me any results this time. But you're welcome to try it. Maybe you'll have better luck than I did when I did that. So again, going to give you guys a few minutes. And if somebody decides they want to be live on the stream with me a little later, barring it not being, the movie's over in a couple of minutes or 30 seconds or whatever, then you are more than welcome to come on. Scott, you say you have DVD Eyes of a Stranger from a DVD box set. Okay, cool. So if you are you all queued up and ready to go? Okay, cool, Texas. I'll give you a few minutes. Check that out. And it looks like we got 9 people in here. I don't know if all 9 of these people will be watching tonight, or if they're just stopping in to see what Dana's blabbing about again. Um, I mean, I only see Blissful, Texas, and Scott really chatting. So, and again, when I say that, that is not meant to make people feel bad. If you don't want to chat, you don't have to chat. If you don't want to come in live on the stream, you don't have to come in live on the stream. You can just merely sit there and watch the movie and enjoy it and hear comments that other people are making, or see comments in the chat that other people are making as we watch it. That is perfectly fine. And while we're waiting, I will say I had the same result happen. I want to take my head off for just a little bit. Um, I had the same thing happen with Animal House. Was not able to find Animal House anywhere. So hopefully, for those of you that want to join in on that tomorrow night, that you have your own copy of Animal House to watch. Yes, Scott, I do that as well. I will go only I go to Google and I do a search and then click on videos. And sometimes that helps me find things. And then sometimes it doesn't, but you can give it the old college try. We're kind of fluctuating between about 8 and 9 people. Oh, and by the way, for these drive-in movie nights that I'm going to be doing coming up, Scott, you're all queued up. Perfect. Ah, dang, Texas. You say seems like the ones I found are dead links. Shoot. So I'm assuming you don't have a copy of it. Well, um, you're still welcome to stay in here, Texas. If you want to, you can listen to me blab on about the movie, um, if you want to, but you don't have to. Um, I wish I had been able to get a link for everybody. So I was gonna say I will go over this. The other movies I got planned for the 4 weeks that I'm going to be doing this driving movie nights. But for anybody that wants to join in live on those, they'll work basically like a watch along. So great, Texas. I'm glad you're going to stick around. Um, so you guys can consider joining in live on the stream for those as well, and it would be really awesome if I was able to get Darcy, um, and then some of you guys and gals could come on the stream and you know actually interact with her. So all of that would be cool. But the other movies I've got, of course, this coming Friday is going to be Halloween 3 and Creep Show. Friday, June 2nd will be Joe Bob Appreciation Night. and I'm showing, or we're going to be watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, mind you. Excuse me. Friday, June 9th will be the Devil Made Me Do It night. We'll be watching The Exorcist and The Omen. And Friday, June 16th will be Cannibal night. We'll be watching Cannibal Ferox and Cannibal Holocaust. Okay. Probably be watching the animal cruelty free versions, by the way, just a note. In case anybody was wondering. And if these seem popular, then I won't do them every Friday after Joe Bob and Darcy come back, and I probably won't do them on Friday at all after they come back. Unless we're in between seasons or something like that, and you guys find these fun, in which case I will do them on the Fridays that they aren't doing anything. But if it seems to be popular, I may switch a certain day that I do them on where it doesn't coincide with the last drive-in. And that way, people won't feel conflicted about, well, do I watch Joe Bob and watch Dana stream on the replay, or do I watch Dana's live stream and watch the last drive-in later? And of course, either would be fine with me, but I don't like for people to feel pressure in any event. Scott, you say also in the Yahoo results, a Hysteria Continues episode on Eyes of a Stranger from 2 years ago. Yeah, I run across those Hysteria Continues episodes sometime. So, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to do the countdown for Eyes of a Stranger. So anyway, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. Got the Warner Brothers logo coming at us full force, almost like it's 3D. Georgetown Productions presents Eyes of a Stranger. And I do have my subtitles on. And as I've said before about this movie, I don't want to say too much about it till we get to it. This has a great head in the... Now Sammy's howling. A great head in the fish tank scene. And this is introducing Jennifer Jason Leigh, by the way. My dad had boots like that. He probably still does. Also, Richard Einhorn did the music, and he also did music for Don't Go in the House as well, which was another watch along I did a while back. And this is directed by Ken Wiederhorn. And we're seeing a dead body in the water there. Very much a topless dead body, right? Now, I believe that is Lauren Tooze there, the blonde. Something about this reminds me of visiting hours, the beginning of visiting hours. And of course, you got this guy that owns his bar warning one of his girls, well, strip club, actually, I guess. What something I could never understand these strip clubs in these movies, and maybe this really happens, is women are in there just casually watching these strippers, and it makes no sense to me. You expect guys to be there, but not women. A little bit of this also reminds me of Schizoid as well. You guys can probably hear Sammy howling back there. I have no idea why he howls just about every night like this. I'm going to go check on him real quick, guys. I think something's getting ready to happen here, and I didn't really want to miss it, but just seeing if he quit, maybe. Now it sounds like he quit when I got ready to get up. So these scenes in movies are always really tense and creepy for me because you know something's going to happen, but you don't know exactly what, and you don't know when it's going to happen. But we do see a guy outside. Well, now he's in the phone booth outside of this girl's apartment building. And I know nowadays we have cell phones and stuff like that. And guys, I'm sorry again for the messy hair, but the hat, it's hotter back here now, and I love my hat, but it kind of irritates me when it's hot. So, well, there's Uncle Bill. I guess he's going to watch this movie along with me here. So, let me add Uncle Bill here. Hey, Uncle Bill.
Hey Dana, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hold on one second. Let me make sure something. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to come in here and tell you that your movie taste and their music taste ain't worth shit. Then I wanted to turn up my speakers as loud as they'll go, blast everybody out of here. Then I tell everybody watching, "Fuck you all."
We're going to have to do the beeping sound effect for Uncle Bill here.
Do it, Dana.
I've got a
Hold on.
warning beeping sound.
Hold on. I got to go on another stream real quick. Hold on one second. I got fucking. Oh, look at this shit. So what are you doing, Dana? What's going on? I haven't seen this movie in a damn fortnight.
We're doing a watch along for Eyes of a Stranger, starring a very well introducing Jennifer Jason Leigh. So she's really young on this, and that guy's calling her a fucking bitch right now. So that's not very nice.
Wait a minute, where are you at right now? Because I'm on.
Let me see here. I'm 7 minutes 40 seconds in.
Hold on. Okay, I'm right with you now.
So
I used
Scott
to. Oh,
Scott
go ahead.
says he looked this up, the filming locations. He said it was all shot in Miami, Florida. So, in case anybody was wondering where this was shot,
I used to have this, Dana. I don't know if you remember, like in a, I think it was the Twisted Terror collection. Do you
mm,
remember that?
yeah, I remember. And actually, I didn't buy that collection, but I think I bought maybe a couple of them separately. And I think I still actually have the DVD of it.
Yeah, I've got all them still. I think Doctor Giggles was one of them.
Dr.
This was
Giggles
one
was
of
one.
them, and then oh God, what was the other one? There was three or four. The Hand was one of them, and then one more.
Yeah, I don't know why I never did get the hand because I don't know why. That's not a really good movie, but it's a fun movie and it's got Michael Caine in it.
Hmm.
So you can't really go wrong with that.
So right now, what we've got is like a combination of Black Christmas and He Knows When You're Alone and all that stuff going on, right?
And including uh coming up at some point, I'm not sure exactly where, is another head in the fish tank scene, which a lot of people will probably consider this head in the fish tank scene in this movie better than He Knows You're Alone, mainly because the head in He Knows You're Alone is obviously fake. The head in this one is the actual actor with their head up through some, they're actually underwater and they were able to hold their breath for long enough for them to film that.
What do you feel about slasher movies with these kind of phone call gimmicks? There's a lot of them,
I, I mean, I guess when they first started, like, what, I don't know, was Black Christmas the one that started that kind of
it
thing, or was there something before that? Is what
it's
I
the first one that I can remember that actually did that. Yeah. But I'm sure there's probably one before it that was some obscure like British or something movie, but
yeah.
you know, um as a matter of fact, isn't
Hey,
there something
Mayor.
like that in like Tales from the Crypt, the British Tales from the Crypt?
Possibly. It's been so long since I watched that.
But the main one is is Black
And
Christmas.
when it before it became old hat for me, I thought it was really creepy. And I've talked about this in connection with Black Christmas before. The first time I saw Black Christmas, I'm talking about the very first time I saw it, which has been freaking long time ago. I wasn't impressed with it. I didn't really, I thought it was a little too vulgar and stuff, and I didn't get it. And then I waited a little bit and I watched it again. I was like, this is freaking scary. I mean, the idea that somebody is in your house, they're calling you from inside the house, and then they're coming down out of the attic or whatever.
Hmm.
And speaking of making loud noises, that reminds me, I'm going to mute my phone or I'm going to have to beat myself. There we go. We don't need to hear that. So, anyway, the whole idea of somebody actually being in this house with you and then, sneaking up on you and killing you is very frightening. Now, this is a little bit different because this guy is outside the house. Um, and then you have like the false scare of the boyfriend or whoever, showing up in
Yeah.
what my granny would always call a false face or whatever. And I think my mom and dad have called it a false face, those little clear
Yeah.
masks you put on. And I think
Now
those masks are creepy, by the
they
way.
are because in Alice Sweet Alice she wears one like that too, and it's
Mhm.
terrifying. Um, All right, let's see how many we can name, Dana. Like films that center around like a phone call. So of course you got like When a Stranger Calls.
The Stranger Calls is one of the best ones. That movie still freaks me out to this day.
Yeah. The whole first part of that movie is amazing. Then you got Black Christmas, of course. And
Which
then
also freaks me out.
there's Don't Answer the Phone.
Hmm.
Um God, what was the
There
other one?
is this one. I don't know if people consider it a horror movie per se. I guess this one is more of a suspense movie and does have an assault, a rape in it. But Are You in the House Alone? Um, have you seen that one, Uncle Bill?
Are You in the House Alone? I don't know if I've seen that one or not.
It's part of that. That guy get just got his head chopped off.
Yeah.
Um, so this one was part of that televised terror set, and it has Kathleen Beller in it as the main girl, and Scott Columby's in it. Some people are probably thinking, "Who the hell is Scott Columby?" But he was in Porky's. He was the Jewish guy in Porky's. Um, he was on
That's
Caddyshack.
that's a pretty good shot right there, by the way. The
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
like yeah.
This is the one that I was talking about, and the reason why that is so damn realistic is because that's that guy's head for real in
Yeah.
there.
You got to give him credit.
Mm.
Oh God, he just punched her in the face, man. That ain't right.
I think he punched her in the face twice, didn't he?
Yeah.
Damn. Speaking of punching people in the face, did anybody?
How's
Uh,
Steve?
uh,
Speaking of punching people in the face,
Uncle Bill, do you watch The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob?
I do, but for some reason, like I tried to watch the first episode of it this year or this
Mhm.
season or whatever, and I could not get into the new set, like the new like talk show set or whatever. So I just didn't. I haven't watched any
Yeah,
more.
so they're not doing that now.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah, I
good.
think that was just like the kickoff, and they did that because I don't believe they've done it since. I don't remember it. Um, and So what I was talking about, somebody hitting somebody in the face. The movies last night was The Mutilator, which is one of my favorites
Mine too.
of all time.
Oh, Buddy
And
Cooper. Yeah.
oh yeah, and then he showed Possession from 1982 with Sam Neill, which I had never seen that movie before. I'd always heard of it,
It's a crazy
wanted to
movie.
see it. It is definitely a crazy movie because I was so wiped out last night. Work's been really wiping me out, so I was kind of going in and out of it.
Hmm.
And then I was getting up with Brandon because he my poor old man Basset Hound, he was needing my help and stuff. But in between dozing off and taking care of Brandon, I was getting little snippets of it. And there was one part where I heard the awful screaming and carrying on. And I was in the kitchen and I could look out there and see the TV. And Sam Neill's character was beating the shit out of his wife. He was just punching her over and over again. I was like,
I forgot
what in
about
the
that.
hell? Why is
Yeah.
he doing that? And then I got to reading more on the movie and I thought, was he really doing that? Or was this all in her mind? Is she losing her mind and thought he was doing that? Did she do it to
That
herself?
movie,
No.
Wes and I watched that movie during one of those, like, it was a movie marathon that we had. And
Mm.
that movie's like over 2 hours long. It's a really
Oh,
long
yeah, it's
movie.
long.
And I think by the time we got to that movie, we were kind of like almost completely out of it. So I remember just bits and pieces of crazy, like just shit that happened in that movie. Like it's almost like I don't know if you call it body horror or whatever you want to call it in parts, but like there's some really weird nightmarish kind of stuff that happens in that movie.
I
And then
mean,
there's also, like somebody else mentioned, there's also long stretches where nothing happens. So it's really kind of
yeah,
boring.
I kind of got that because it was like there was one scene where the little boy, Bob, I think his name was Bob, the little boy.
It's always Bob.
That's right. That's what I was thinking. Why is these boys always called Bob? But it looked like Bob was sitting on the floor with, I don't know, it looked like blood and shit all over his face. He was covered in stuff. And Sam Neill's character was kneeling down and talking to him. I was like, what the hell happened to this kid? And why is Sam Neill so calm during this? It looks like there was, as Joe Bob would
Mm.
say, slime glopola all over this kid. And I was like, I don't understand here. So Steve kind of let me believe that led me to believe that I don't really need to watch this movie.
You don't.
So I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's not really a great film.
Um,
So okay, I'm watching this on Prime. So my thing is kind of
okay,
jacked
so it
up.
is available on Prime now.
It is, but you have to. I had to like rent it. It was like $2. So who gives a shit?
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. What is your time right now, Dan?
Let's see, we got 19 minutes and 4 seconds.
Okay, we're about at the same point here.
They're in, like, I guess, a parking garage or something, and Lauren Twos there is looking at weirdo guy who if you haven't thought that this guy was guilty by now, like, he's got a big bloody stain on his undershirt. He's
It's
changing
fine.
his clothes in the parking garage
I do that all the time.
before you go in the house or before
Yeah,
you go into work. It's like,
I burn all my clothes out in the yard. Yeah. Fuck it.
Savannah's like, what are you doing out there?
Exactly.
I'll be in a minute. I mean, when they do interviews with this guy, thankfully he seems like a normal, well-adjusted guy, but he can really turn on the crazy for movies, though, which makes him a really good actor.
So isn't Jennifer Jason Leigh coming up in this shit soon?
Yeah, I think she's the sister to Lauren Too's character.
She's super young in this movie too. She's got to be like 18, 19, something like that.
I would say she'd have to be. So what year was this again? Was this 81?
81. Yeah.
Okay, so Fast Times at Ridgemont High, she would have had to been pretty young too, because that was 82
Yep.
and she was in that. There she is, speaking of Jennifer Jason Leigh.
She's got her dog.
Mayor, I do love Jennifer Jason Leigh as well. I think she's pretty, and and very good actress too.
There was a story about her that always like made me kind of respect her more. Yeah, you can tell she's super young in this.
Mm.
But like you remember the movie The Hudsucker Proxy by any chance, Dana? It was on
I
HBO.
Yeah, I remember it, but you know what? I don't think I've watched all of that movie.
Okay, well, if you watch it, like Jennifer Jason Leigh plays she talks like a 40s style, like you know how they talked really, really fast in like in those female leads talked really fast. And they were like, the way that they enunciated their words was really kind of odd too. They were like, we're going to go out here and, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that kind of way of talking. Anyway, she had a shit ton of dialogue, and they said she had like a photographic memory. Like she would come to set with all that dialogue memorized. We're talking like pages and
Yeah.
pages of dialogue. So I remember hearing that, and I was like, I mean, you got to respect that, because that's probably why she's such a good actress. Is like she can just memorize all that, and that leaves her kind of free up to do the acting part too.
And so her dad was, and his name is totally escaped me. Help me out here, Uncle Bill. You know who
Oh,
Jason Lee's dad was, right?
yeah, at one time I did. If you wouldn't ask me that, I could have fucking told you. Um,
I may have to look it up because it's going to bother me if
I'm
if this
thinking I'm thinking of somebody that I don't think it's who
If
I'm
this
thinking it is.
helps anybody come up with the name, unfortunately, he was the guy that got killed during the making of the Twilight Zone
Yeah,
movie.
Vic Morrow.
Vic
Yeah,
Morrow, that's exactly
yeah,
right. So Vic Morrow was Jennifer Jason Leigh's dad.
yeah. Because she absolutely hated John Landis after all that. I'd forgotten about that too.
Which,
For
right or wrong, what John Landis did, how he handled it, all that stuff, I can't blame her because that was her dad. I mean,
yeah,
no two ways about that. Hey, John, you say, hey, all just dropping by to say hello. I'm out at dinner. One to say King Frat is one creepy motherfucker in this one. That's right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Mayor. I can't believe they left that in the movie either, because that was like a priceless guitar. Like
Hmm.
I can't imagine what they paid for that. I'm sure they had to pay like at least a couple $1,000,000 for doing that.
Yeah. I haven't watched The Hateful Eight in a while. I need to go back and watch that one.
I have a love hate relationship with that movie in a way. Like
Oh, really?
I like parts of it, and then other parts of it I just think are just super kind of lame and boring.
I could see that, though. I could
Some
see
of the
somebody
some of
saying
the characters in it aren't great. Some of them are amazing. It's just a very uneven film, I guess. So if she was born in 62, then that would make her what, Dana? I suck at math. That would make her
depending
19
on
then?
what month she was born in, she would have been 20 and 82 at some point,
Yeah.
which would have made her 19 when this was made, or possibly 18 if it, sometimes they make
Yeah.
these movies a few months or a year before they actually come out. So,
51. Yeah. She's 51 years old.
well, now,
Mhm.
but when this was made,
Yeah.
this almost looks like real television footage.
It does. This scene reminds me of the scene in The Howling for some reason. That woman's hair is exactly the same as Dewall's too.
Yeah, I was saying earlier this news studio footage reminds me of like the beginning scenes of Visiting Hours,
Yeah.
where she's really, she's pissing that guy off, uh, Michael Ironside's character in that, by
Yeah.
talking about men like him, and he wants to kill her. And that's kind of the same thing that Lauren Tooze is doing. She's antagonizing that guy, and he wants to cause harm to both her and her sister because of it.
Is Michael Ironside still alive, Dana? Or did he die?
I was thinking he was still alive, but I could be wrong.
That's one of those guys that was a great character actor. There's a lot of guys like that that didn't really get a lot of attention, but they were great in
Mhm. Michael
roles.
Ironside is, I've seen him play, okay characters, but most of the characters he played were sadistic guys. Like in Scanners, for instance, he's sadistic in that movie.
Total Recall. He was a great bad guy in Total
Yeah,
Recall.
yeah.
Um,
I'd forgotten about Total Recall.
yeah.
So Texas and the mayor are both saying he's still alive. So is that one of those little troll? Remember those little trolls with the hair that
Yeah.
stuck up the little toys? It
It
looked
looks
like
like it.
that
Yeah.
little girl had that.
Oh, it's one of like those old pencils they used to have like that.
Oh,
Remember?
okay. Yeah, I see it better now.
Yeah.
That
That's
little
old school as
school
hell.
bus lunchbox looks like something from the 70s. Looks like something left over from the 70s. Of course, this is early 80s. So, like Steve always likes to say, he was like, things hadn't really changed yet much. 80, 81, things were
Yeah.
still in late 70s mode.
I don't think it was till 85 when the 80s really hit. You know what I
Kicked
mean? When that was
in.
like, that's when MTV and all that shit became like really, really popular and everything. All the movies started to look a certain way.
And then the things went from like stuff like the clothes that are like on here and stuff to like those bright pinks,
Yeah.
um, hot pinks and greens and all of that oranges. A lot of people are glad that that stuff kind of went away. But I didn't mind too much of that stuff. Of course, I was born in 76, so 86, I would have been only 10 years old. So I didn't really get in on all of that stuff, the fashions and all that stuff. I was still, wearing what my parents told me to wear at that point in time. I was not, going out and buying my own clothes or anything like that at that time.
I miss the 80s though. Shit sucks now. I mean, it
It
really
does
does.
suck
Like,
now, yeah.
good Lord, as compared to like that period of time from the 80s into the mid 90s.
And then everything just got shittier as time went on, you know. Now I would even like to go back to the 90s as opposed to, the
Well,
way.
fuck, I go out, I went out today, try to buy a watermelon. They were $8.
Yeah,
You buy a fucking
unbelievable.
watermelon for $8 now. It's like, okay.
Exactly. And I love watermelons. And, every year I say I'm going to buy me one. And I run into the same thing that you did. Did you end up buying one, Uncle Bill?
Fuck no, I ain't. I will not. I'll grow one in my yard before I'll
Yeah,
pay $8 for a fucking
exactly.
watermelon.
My parents grew them one year, or my dad grew them one
Yeah,
year.
my mom did too.
And I would just as soon say, "Hey, Dad, can I have one out of your watermelon patch or whatever?"
They're hard to grow. That is probably one of the hardest things to grow because they require so much water and everything, and like a certain type of soil.
Yep.
Has to be a lot of sand based soil for that too.
I think Dad grew his on the back part of the property. I'm guessing the soil was better
Yeah.
um, then. So he also grew pumpkins 1 or 2 years, and it was around Halloween time, and people just was coming out of the woodwork to buy pumpkins from me. I forgot how many he sold. Um, but he would just give me one. So I could say, "Hey, Dad, can I have a pumpkin for Halloween?" "Yeah, Dana, let's go get you one."
I'll tell you the thing though, that when mom was growing her stuff, like she grew so much squash and gourds and things like that that we had to put all that shit in the freezer because like that's one thing that will grow like crazy around here. Like you can't stop it. I mean, there's no some of that stuff doesn't work out as well, but the any kind of squash, gourd, anything like that,
Oh
beans do
my
really well.
goodness, yes. Remember one time when we were chatting a long time ago. This has been I'm taking you way back, Uncle Bill, and you were talking about breaking up green beans
Yeah,
for your mom,
yeah.
and I did
We
that too. I broke a few green beans up.
I used to hate that worse than anything because like you if you don't do it right, then you end up with the string and shit in there, and then when you cook it, like it's
Yep.
gonna you get that in your mouth, teeth. It's awful. But yeah, it takes forever too. You got to break them up into like three quarters, and then like string them first. Then you break them down, and like it's just a long process to get any kind of amount of them.
And I don't know what your mom would say to you, but my mom would be like, "Now, Dana, I appreciate you helping me, but make sure we do these right, you know."
Yeah, yeah.
Go stick it in your ear. Oh, man. Okay. That's kind of dirty. I think I would look worse than that chick looks. She looks like she was unnerved for about half a second, and then she's just
She's
gonna
fine.
go
Yeah,
on.
she's gonna type some shit and whatever she's doing. The children are getting eaten alive by my dog right now. Blissful, you are here.
Oh, she says YouTube is acting odd. Well, evidently YouTube's acting all kinds of odd because um, I want to ask Uncle Bill while he's on here if him and CK have been getting complaints that people aren't getting notifications. Hey, Princess Puffins,
Ah,
I bet people been telling y'all they're not getting notifications whenever y'all do videos, like not getting notifications from YouTube.
I haven't heard that yet.
So
About people
Steve
telling us that.
said he had, and he does things through you guys on y'all's platform rather.
Yeah,
And then people have been telling me, like Kelly was telling me that she hadn't gotten notifications for the last few of my streams I was doing, and she was bummed out because she missed them.
now Garrett got his ass demonetized. I don't know if you heard about that.
What happened?
Nobody knows. See, this is the problem with YouTube nowadays. Like
Hmm.
aside from the fact that they suck and like they
It's
they'll give you strikes and everything about for absolutely no reason.
mhm.
When they demonetize you, apparently, they just send you an email that says something to the effect of, your videos and content have not met our community standards and therefore you've been demonetized, but they do not tell you why. Like they don't give you a
The
specific like
stupidest thing ever.
reason or anything like that. So if that ever happens, you're kind of screwed because you don't know what to fix. Like you don't know
Right.
what you did.
Yeah, it's almost like the MPAA saying, we're not going to tell you what you got to take out, but you got to take out some shit, or we're not going to give your movie an R rating. You're going to have an X rating or whatever.
Right.
Um, so I've watched several of Garrett's videos. I don't know. I don't know
I
what could possibly be found that's
well
against
that's
the city guidelines.
that's the funniest part, Dana, is like he's the cleanest guy at all of
He
it.
is.
It's got demonetized.
He is. Bless his heart. I hate that.
So he can reapply, he said like the later part of June, but not till then. And then there's no guarantee that they'll ever like reinstate him. It's just so
You know,
like
I wonder sometimes if it's not some jerks out there in YouTube land or in internet land that just get jealous because somebody's popular or somebody's getting monetized, and YouTube doesn't check up enough on these reports. That's part of the problem. And they just report somebody for absolutely nothing.
yep.
They just
I,
make up shit.
I would guess it's probably was that like somebody reported something on him. I don't know what. That's the only thing that makes sense because I don't think they go around like looking for smaller, streamers like that unless something is called to their attention.
Hmm. I mean, I've been trying to get the person whose name shall not be named on here because I don't want to give them any more attention. That's been bugging me for the last 10 years on and off, calling me Rocky Dennis and all kinds of shit. And they don't even have videos on their channel. There's no reason for them to be here. All they do is go around irritating people. And I've tried twice to get them taken off of YouTube because they've got two or three different channels with no videos, but they just keep switching. If I ban one of the channels, they switch to the other channel. If I ban that one, I bet they'll create another channel
Yep.
and start doing the same shit again. You can't get rid of people like that. They're like a plague. But somebody like Garrett, who's actually doing worthwhile content, some
No, he's
idiot,
not bothering anybody. He's not
yeah,
saying
he's
anything.
not bothering anybody,
Yeah.
and he's got good content, quality content. And somebody wants to be a jerk like that, and YouTube says, "Oh my gosh, we got to get rid of this person," without even checking into it, or demonetize them, I should say. But that's bad enough.
People suck, man. They just do.
Yep.
There's a lot of people out there that's all they want to do is just fuck with other people.
Yep.
Especially
Mayor says, "Oh, I'm sorry that I reported Garrett for being Two rated G. LOL.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to report him for? That's what I was trying to figure out. There had to be something, but like I can't figure out what it would be.
I don't know either. I can't for the life of me. Well, one time my stream got stopped, and we found out later my stream got cut off because they thought I was showing all of My Bloody Valentine, and Paramount must have got their panties in a bunch and some kind of
Yeah, you don't want to mess with
algorithms.
Paramount.
No, you don't ever want to mess with Paramount. But what it said at first, when I got the first warning, was that it said it was almost like I was scamming people. It was like saying something about deceptive practices. I was like, what the hell? I'm not, there's no deceptive practices going on here. But then CK told me that it said it was for copyright stuff.
Yeah.
So they were given two conflicting things. They were telling me one thing, telling the viewers of my stream something else. So
They probably
they
don't even
they
know.
reinstated my stream later, but it's still at the point that they cut me off, which
Yeah.
they didn't cut off very much. I was just basically saying, "What the hell? Why'd they cut my stream?" Just basically me complaining, so it didn't really matter.
See, that's the thing, Scott, is that he didn't get anything. There was no warnings, no
Hmm.
copyright strikes, nothing like that. He just got an email that said, "Hey, your shit's been demonetized."
Oh man, I bet Garrett was pissed.
Yeah, he's not thrilled. I'll tell you that.
Mayor says, "Bet it was Big-Eyed Betty that reported Garrett."
I don't know. I wait for that kind of stuff to happen eventually to us because there ain't no way. I mean, if Garrett gets that done to him, we ain't got a chance.
Well, I mean, it'll happen to everybody that's got some amount of visibility. It sounds like, and that would be, that'd be
Yeah.
you guys, that'd be people like Pizzow, and how long before it starts happening to these other guys, and gals. Oh, we got a well, she's got her bra on, it looks like still. But I was like, we got a shirtless guy here.
I was watching Trick or Treat the other day, and that's got one of the wildest like car
Oh,
scenes in it of all time.
yes. Oh man. I'm looking forward to the I'm looking forward to the 4K of
Oh damn!
Trick or Treat. Oh, dude. I forgot about this kill here.
Yeah,
Man,
that
right
was
in the
kind of
throat.
that's kind of rough.
Mm.
He's fine.
He'll be coming back. And
Yeah, yeah.
well,
He's
actually, he did come back, but he's like, it's like Shelly on Friday the 13th, part three.
so this movie is like maniac style brutal.
Mm, mm.
It looks like that's what they were going for because this movie came out a year after Maniac, so I guess that would make sense. I mean,
And there was some time between me watching it the last time on my DVD and getting the Blu-ray in. There was quite a stretch of time there. And when I rewatched it, I was like, damn,
hmm
these kills are pretty hardcore on here. And these people don't just kind of just lay down and die or just fall down and they're dead.
yeah,
It's slow, painful shots of them dying.
I do remember really liking the end of this movie too.
The end of it is,
When
yeah,
it gets
really
into it
good.
with Jennifer Jason Leigh and all that. Yeah,
And the whole thing about someone being blind, and they say when you're blind, a lot of times your hearing is better than a person with normal eyesight and everything.
I've heard that.
Um,
Yeah.
and can you just imagine someone creeping around your house and like moving things? Because there's that whole scene where the guy will be moving a plate and she's feeling for it and she knows where she set it at, but he just keeps moving things around on her and it's just freaky. And he's always one step behind her that whole time. And I can only imagine not being able to see, but having a
Hmm.
heightened sense of hearing and know that somebody is there, but you can't see them. You can't see what they're getting ready to do. Are they getting ready to strangle you, stab you? What are they getting ready to do? That whole thing is just terrifying. So I think she's having a dream here of what have is she having a dream about, well, I thought maybe she was having a dream about what happened to Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, but I'm unsure. Because I'm thinking she wasn't born blind, but there was some accident that happened that caused her to be blind.
I would imagine it would be much worse to have like been able to see and then go blind than to be blind your
Mm,
whole life.
yeah, me too. Yeah, they're talking about the
Yeah.
ocular nerves and so this is a case where somebody went blind because of trauma. There's nothing wrong with the nerves or anything like that. Again, if you guys can hear that knocking in the background, that is Brandon making that noise.
I was gonna
Apologies.
say, Danny, you about to be murdered. Like I'd watch out.
You know, it freaked people out when I was doing the paranormal stuff and when I did that
Yeah.
little investigation and Brandon started doing that and everybody was like, "What in the hell is that?"
So which one do you prefer, Danny? This one or don't answer the phone?
Oh, if it's between this one and don't answer the phone, it's definitely this one.
Yeah. I like don't answer the phone. It's just a little bit too exploitation-y.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. There was another one that I thought of just now, and this is a very bad, bad, bad movie. And I'm not talking about so bad it's good.
Just really
Although
bad.
if you do a commentary and or a watch along, it, it's fun that way because I think Steve and I did one for this one. It's called Disconnected, and it has the girl from Mutilator in it, the girl that goes swimming with her boyfriend in the pool, and then she gets drowned in the pool.
Yeah.
It's got her on it, and she's like the main. I believe she's the main girl on that. But you have somebody calling these women, and then they end up getting killed. And I used to have a really old VHS of Disconnected. I remember clearly it had a purple cover, and it had a phone that was just hanging down, and it had some kind of tagline. I can't remember the tagline now. But the tagline for this movie is great. Is uh, "Sorry, your party is dead" or something like that, and
Yeah.
it shows up on the posters and the DVDs and stuff.
All right, I'll throw out some more exploitation style films, and you tell me which one you like better, Dana.
Okay.
This one or Don't Go in the House.
Oh my gosh, that's hard because I mean, I will say that this one's better made, better polished than Don't Go in the House. But Dan Grimaldi is the one that makes Don't Go in the House. Um, and there's just something so creepy about him. And he's great. I mean, he's just absolutely perfect in that movie. So Those two, I'd have to go with Don't Go in the House. As much as I love this one,
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you, like, that idea behind that movie about like how he kills them and everything is just like
mhm,
one of the creepiest ideas,
and it's
and the way they do
iconic
it,
too.
yeah, the way they do it is just absolutely brutal too.
That first burn, that first woman he kidnaps and puts in that metal walled room he's got, and he comes in with that damn blowtorch. Of course, he's got the whole full get up to protect himself, and she's begging for her life. But the way that that is filmed, I believe they filmed it with mirrors. It really looks like he is burning her.
Yeah,
And you don't need to see any more burn victims, and you really don't see them burned in the rest of the movie. You see the after effects. You see the burned corpses that where he sets them in the room with his the corpse of his mother, and he goes in there and he screams at them, and he has conversations
yeah,
with them. Basically, you're all bitches. I hate you. And it does have a little bit of a maniac vibe to it because there's that creepy scene where he sees his mother's corpse on the steps, on the stairs in the house, and she says, Donald. And he hears her say his name, and he looks like that. And then it's like the other corpses get up and
yeah.
we hate you, Donnie. We hate you, and they're just coming towards him. And it sort of reminds me, although not as graphic as the end of Maniac, where it seems that the girls come back to life and just literally tear
Same kind of
apart.
thing. Yeah,
Hmm. Mayor, I think Don't Go in the House was released around the same time as Maniac, and I would agree that it would make a perfect double feature if you really just make sure, guys, before you watch a double feature of those two movies, that you're in a really good mood. Because if you're at a low point, I would not recommend watching those because those are really two very dark movies.
for some reason, some of the kills in this movie and just the way that it's shot kind of remind me of Torso too.
And see, that's unusual because I hate Torso. Well, I don't hate Torso, but I don't like it very well.
Does
And that
Steve like it? I bet Steve likes it.
Yes, of course Steve likes it. You got a chick running around for God
Eh,
knows how many minutes with her top open and her
yeah.
boobs out. Yeah, he likes it. Um, but I think that's one of the reasons I don't like it because I'm not a prude. I've said that before. I've watched stuff with sex and nudity galore in it, but I just thought that that was a stupid scene of having her run through the woods with her big old boobies flopping and or it just seemed like it went on way too long. It was like, can't the killer just come out and kill this
uh,
bitch? Jeez Louise. Come
there ain't
on.
nothing worse than big old boobies flopping around now. Hate it.
Well, you guys like it, but and some lesbian females might like it, but us straight women generally do not like
Lesbian
that.
female. Uh, damn it. Some of the shit you say kills me.
Well, I'm trying not to offend anybody, but I don't want to offend somebody and get kicked off of YouTube or anything. They can't demonetize me because I can't be monetized
That's
yet.
right. That's right.
So
You
the
don't have to
only
worry
thing
about
they
that.
can do is kick me off. What's he got? Minute Maid orange juice?
Uh huh.
It looks like he's It looks like he's got Minute Maid, and then behind that it's like Lysol or something. It's like, what the heck?
That's a good combination.
You can tell this guy's a bachelor because look how few groceries he gets.
Mm-hmm. Is that a hairpiece? Looks like a hairpiece.
It does, yeah, I believe it is.
Who is this guy, Dana?
I know he played King Frat, but I'm forgetting his name. Actually.
That movie, God.
uh, well, let's just look up on IMDb, but somebody will probably beat
So
me.
I'm going to take it then that this movie is Canadian. If he was in King Frat,
Mm, that's a good question too.
King Frat, King fucking Frat. That song never leaves your mind.
um, is that John DeSanti? I believe that's John DeSanti.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up here just to see if this is. Yeah. Where in God's name was this? Yeah, it was filmed in the States, Miami, Florida. Well,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because somebody brought that up earlier.
shit.
Yes, Texas. Well, maybe not torso hate, but torso dislike, maybe is a better way to say it. I just didn't, I'm not in love with that movie. There she, Lauren Tooze is in that green tracksuit, and then she just goes into somebody else's apartment.
John DeSanti is still alive too. Sergio Martino directed
Mm.
Torso. Sergio Martino.
Yeah, titty mutilation, Mayor. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, Scott, I saw what IMDb said when I was looking up John DeSanti's name. The Eyes of a Stranger was going to be a regular thriller, but then they added in all the gore to take advantage of the popularity of slashers.
Dawn of the Dead poster. Holy shit.
Hmm. But unlike the one Uncle Bill has that I got for him many moons ago, now Uncle Bill has the one with the green text.
Yeah. You know what the significance of that is, Dana?
What's that?
The ones with the green text were the earliest ones that they pressed. Like those were
Ah.
the first ones that came out. And then after a period of time, I don't know how many of those were made, then they went to the red text, which is what you see a lot.
You know, that's something Steve will never let me live down, getting you that poster. And I'm
Why?
like, okay, what I tell he said, I can't believe that you got Aaron that poster. And I was like, okay. I said, number one, Steve, me and you were not dating at the time. You know, he acts like it's a slight on him
God.
that I got you this poster. And I said, number two, I said, that poster was not mint condition. There was no
No.
way I could afford a mint condition poster of that. I was just lucky that I found that and it was affordable for me at the time. And I was like, I'm I'm gonna get Aaron this as a gift, and just give it, give it to him, and he can frame it, or he can throw it in the trash, or he can do whatever he wants with it.
Well, it's
Uh,
still look at that, Dana.
yeah,
It's
it's
still
still,
right
yeah,
behind me.
it looks pretty good back there.
Yeah. I've kept that thing framed for the past, I don't even know,
But
15 years.
there's a third part of this story too, that I paid the same price for a Suspiria poster for Steve that I paid for that Dawn of the Dead poster back there. So you guys are even. You're even Steven there. and he doesn't have any reason to complain, but he brings that up
Listen,
from time to
listen.
time.
I think we just all like to know that Steve likes to bitch about everything. Like, that's his gimmick.
But in
All
that
he does.
case, he doesn't have a reason to bitch about it because
Well, he doesn't have reason to bitch about half the stuff he does, but he just does anyway.
okay, Scott, sorry, I'll give you credit. He said that somebody was me. He was the one that mentioned that it was filmed in Florida.
Oh, okay. Valley Girl. Now that's another movie that's an amazing like timepiece movie
Oh yeah.
where like everything in that movie is like completely 80s. Just like takes you to that period of time.
See, that was another thing that it wasn't just Girls in the Valley that was doing that. Like
Mhm.
about everything using that vernacular or verbiage or whatever you want to call it. That spread out of that area, and a lot of girls were saying it at the
Yeah.
time, not just Valley girls. So it's interesting that made its the conversations that they would have and stuff in that movie kind of made their way into regular society a little bit. But it's funny to go back and listen to that because people don't say like okay or something. They don't say that anymore. Um, but for that period of time, they sure did. That was a big thing. Scott, you lucky dog, you have a Dawn of the Dead poster signed by Romero, Savini, and Ken Foray.
You see that right there, Dana? Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
That so that is like a mini poster from the 25th anniversary of Dawn of the Dead, signed by
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
the whole cast, Savini and Romero.
Does CK have one of those too?
He might. We were both like at the same show that we got that at,
I
so it's
have
possible.
I have like a zombie. I was looking at your zombie mini
Oh
poster
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
I have one of those that I bought at Ian McCullough's table when I met him, and it was $50, but here's the thing that got me a signature from Ian McCullough, and it got me a picture where I didn't have to, Ian McCullough wasn't there saying, "Oh, it'll be $50 for my autograph. It'll be another 50 for my picture." It was
yeah.
just one price you paid, and he was very nice. And have you ever met Ian McCullough?
I don't think I have, Dana. Like, which is weird because like there was that one show, and they never did this again, and I wish they would have, where Whorehound did like the Italian movie stars convention. You remember that? Like they
Now,
had
I
like
remember years ago, Steve told me that Wasteland did one, but I guess I've forgotten about the Horror Hound one. But
yeah, they had like Catriona McCall there and the
oh,
other
wait
chick.
a minute, yeah, I do. Now I remember
Yeah,
because we didn't. I thought Steve and I went to that one because I met Catriona McCall
I'm
there.
pretty sure y'all were there. Yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, I
and
remember.
they had like the couple of other people from like a lot of the Fulci movies there and stuff. I don't remember if he was there or not, but I for some reason don't think I met him. I
Mhm.
don't think I met him.
Now, Steve met like years and years and years ago. Wasteland had one of those Italian horror type of deals. And I think almost everybody, at least the guys anyway, from Zombie were there. Ian McCullough was there. Richard Johnson was there. Of course, Richard Johnson has since passed away, but he was
Yeah,
there at that one. Um, gosh, oh, what's his face? Golly, I'm totally forgetting his name.
which one?
The one that they rode on the boat with to go to Matul.
Wasn't it like, God, I know who you're
Gosh, I
talking
didn't
about.
think I would forget that guy's name. That gone.
There was Richard Johnson, was Ian McCall, and there was like Al or
Al Cliver. That
yeah,
was it.
yeah.
So Steve met, I'm pretty sure he met Ian McCullough, Richard Johnson, and Al Cliver. And I think he got all their signatures in. And um, I think he said Al Cliver was looking for pot all weekend.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of smoking weed, I was watching that um video or the live stream with Jason Guy, the guy that's got all the
Oh
pot
yeah.
stuff. That got an amazing collection, by the way. But I was trying to remember because I was doing something else and I was watching as CK and Garrett were asking him questions and stuff like that. I don't believe you were on that one, were you?
No, huh?
Okay, I think it was just CK and Garrett. And so I started watching about midway through the stream while I was doing something else. And I thought that Jason Guy was talking about something about the people from Weird Science, and he was talking about Anthony Michael Hall. And I don't know if he was talking about the chick from that movie or what, but I could have sworn, and forgive me, guys, Jason Guy, if you happen to watch this, if I get the stuff wrong, please don't be mad at me. But I thought he was saying that he was outside the hotel where they were having that convention and he was smoking or something. I mean, smoking a cigarette, I think, or something. And um, I thought he said Anthony Michael Hall and some woman came out there. And first of all, he said he kept calling her ma'am, and she was like, "Don't call me ma'am," and he kept wanting to not do that. But then they got out, or she got out a joint and said, "You want a hit of this?" And I just found that so hilarious.
I bet he did.
So I guess he stood out there with Anthony Michael Hall and this woman and was just taking hits off a joint. I said, "That's kind of the coolest story I've ever heard."
Listen, if you want, oh well, there we go, Dana. There you go. If you
Oh,
want to, make friends and influence people fast at a convention, all you gotta do is bring some weed. That I
bring
like
some
doing.
weed,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure if Steve had some weed, Al Cliver would have talked to him for hours.
exactly.
Good Lord, that woman's gonna make her leg come off.
Yeah, that doesn't look safe at all.
Mm-mm. So Mayor says, I'm still so jealous of a friend of mine that hung out with Dario Argento and Keith David smoking cigarettes outside Texas Frightmare Weekend. Now that would be awesome too, especially since he's not an Argento fan. See, isn't
I,
that always the way? People
that
that
is,
aren't
yeah.
fans of these people end up getting to hang out with them.
I tell you though, like when we met Carpenter, he was getting up and going out there every 30 minutes and smoking cigarettes. There's all kinds of people like going out there with him, like trying to be
Mhm.
around him and stuff.
Steve probably wouldn't because he hates smoking so bad.
Did you know, by the way, speaking of that, because that was at Fright Night, that Ken is doing another Fright
Is
Night
he?
thing
Is he really?
at Waverly Hills. It's going to be at Waverly Hills, by the way.
I wonder how he got. I wonder if he's got connections there because he's got it. So he's gonna have a convention
Yeah, hold on, because Wes was sending me this earlier. I'll give you the details of it here, or if
there.
there is any details of it.
I know they do a haunted house every year there at Waverly, but
So November 10th through the 12th at Waverly Hills, the Fright Night Film Fest, and right now he's got booked Katie Featherston from Paranormal Activity, the
I
main
better tell Steve about that. He likes her.
um Micah Sloat, who is the Ghostface killer in Scream 6. The entertainment by the Jasons, DJ Trey, and Slasher Boy. That's all he's got like booked right now.
Hmm.
but that's still a long way away, I guess.
I mean,
Ken
the
just gonna
kids
lose his
don't.
ass.
I'm afraid he is if he keeps on going the way he's
Yeah,
going. 'Cause, when I went to the first Fright Night I ever went to in '09 was at the Crown Plaza Hotel here in Louisville, and that was great. I
yeah.
mean, you didn't have people puking outside because it was so damn hot. Of course, there was probably some drinking involved in that. Did I ever tell you about that? That was the year
I
that it
don't
was.
think so, but I remember that year when it was like the air conditioner and everything was
It
fucked up.
wasn't. It wasn't at the hotel where people saw stains on the walls in the hotel rooms and bugs and all that. Uh, but it was a year. It was when Steve and I were dating, and we went, and it was so damn hot. I mean, it was hot outside, and for whatever reason, the air conditioning either was not working in that hotel or it couldn't keep up because there were so many people in there. It was so
Was
hot.
that the one with Roger Corman? Because that's the one I remember being like super hot and shit.
I don't think it was that one. Who was it that Steve met? Steve met somebody, I think, from Enter the Dragon that year, and he he went up and met him, but it was like so hot you couldn't breathe in that place. And when we pulled up outside the hotel and got ready to go in, like I said, there was probably alcohol involved in this too.
Yeah.
But a guy was puking on the sidewalk right outside the hotel. And I was like, oh, that is not what I need to see as soon as we get here. So, yeah. And I was also so hot in that hotel that when we went to lunch, I just totally lost my appetite. We went to Hardee's, I remember. And now I don't want to eat at Hardee's at all. But we went to Hardee's and like I started feeling sick to my stomach about halfway through my hamburger that I was eating and I couldn't even finish it. So I attribute that to the heat pretty much.
Up until that point, uh, that show where everything was at like a different hotel and it was all awful and everything. Like I thought those Fright Night shows were really well put together and they had some great guests and they were like not as like crowded as like the whorehound shows and shit where you just like packed in there. I really enjoyed
Mhm.
those first 3 or 4 Fright Night shows were great.
Yeah, the one in '09, like I said, that was my first one, and I ended up riding over with Kim Malay, and she lived in Owensboro, which was about 30 minutes from where I lived. And so we found a meetup place. My dad drove me into Owensboro and then I rode into Louisville with her. But the hotel was nice. The damn air conditioning was working. We had a nice room we stayed in. I mean, I just don't know if, like, did Ken lose money along the way and just couldn't afford some of the better places later on, or what
I
happened?
mean, we will never know the answer to that, but I got to imagine on these last couple of ones he's done, he's lost money because there ain't been nobody there, from what I can understand.
No,
Like,
it was sad the last one I went to.
was that the one Steve went to and everything where Wes was there?
Um, the last one that I actually attended, and I think I was working at the Newburgh branch library, so I couldn't. I had to work that Saturday, so this was when y'all did that one drunken commentary. I think it might have been for Hell of the Living Dead. And I was able to come for that, but Steve came back on Saturday and I had to work. And he met up with you guys, I think, and talked to you guys for a little bit. But
Hmm.
so then the next one, oh God, that dog's dead. I forgot about that.
I did
Damn.
too.
I know it's not really dead. There's not really a dead dog, but
Hmm.
oh man.
That's just really sad.
They had to have drugged that dog or something to get it to do that because that's obviously looks like the real dog. That doesn't look okay. I'm gonna quit looking at that now. Um, I forgot all about that. So the next one I remember just Steve going to. I actually didn't even go in the convention because I wasn't even. You guys weren't there that I recall, and there wasn't really anybody I could hang out with. There
Yeah.
wasn't anybody that I wanted to meet, but Steve wanted to meet Sonny Chiba, so I got a autograph ticket for him to go meet Sonny Chiba and get his autograph. And this was when it was in the old J.C. Penney store,
Oh shit. I remember that. Yeah.
and Steve was talking about how insane that was. He said it was just very weird that he walked up in this old J.C. Penney store, and there were, I don't know how many people he had. He he had some people canceled. They probably canceled on Ken because they found out it was going to be in a old J.C. Penney store, and they probably
Well,
just.
I remember hearing some sort of stories like they found like a dead raccoon in there or something because that place had been boarded up
I wouldn't doubt it.
for a long time before he started using it. I don't know, man. The one I was talking about though, I think it was either 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago where Wes went down there and he wanted me to go, but I didn't end up going. And like it was like a Dead Pit reunion kind of thing. Like Metal Man was there. I thought Steve was there, and they showed like a commentary. He did a commentary over
Oh,
something, but
wait, 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 wait. Was that the Don't Panic one?
yes, that's what it was. Yeah,
I thought you couldn't come because I thought you guys were sick.
we probably had
Because
COVID at that time.
no, I think you got your second COVID shot. You got a booster,
Oh,
and
that's
I
what it
think you
was.
guys
Yeah,
got really sick, or you got really sick. Somebody got really sick and couldn't
yeah, we both did around that time. That was bad. Yeah, I
come.
knew it was something to do with that. Like,
Yeah, I remember now, but yeah, they did that commentary for Don't Panic, and poor Metal Man, he was so crushed that you weren't there. I was disappointed, but I was like, you can't help it if you're sick. If you're sick, you're sick.
but something happened at that show. I don't know what happened, but like Wes has basically said after that show, he was just completely over doing conventions ever. So I don't know if it just sucked or like what was going on.
Well, I mean, it sucked. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think we pretty much me and Steve only came to it for the commentary. We sure as heck didn't come to meet anybody or anything like that. And I didn't even, this was the one and only time where you guys had done a commentary where I didn't even pay attention to the freaking movie. I was
oh yeah,
sitting in the back talking to Sarah the whole time. Usually I would sit up there with the rest of you guys, Steve and Wes or whoever was there, and actually participate in the commentary. But this time I just sat way in the back with Sarah and just talked to her the whole time. But yeah, I don't remember a lot about that, mainly because I wasn't paying attention, except that Steve had a blonde curly wig on. And there are pictures of this because he was trying to look like the guy from Don't Panic. And I remember Metal Man going, bless his heart.
God, it's
I
uncanny.
remember him going around and like I I'm not saying I felt uncomfortable, but I think I did ask him, I was like, Brian, have you had your eyes examined lately? Because he kept coming up to like me and Sarah and who knows how many other random women he was coming up to and telling us how beautiful we were and I love you. And I'm sure there was alcohol involved and
Yeah, there
all
was a
the
lot.
stuff
I'm sure.
because when we went out to dinner that night, all of us, he was drinking like crazy
I can imagine.
and
Yeah.
wanting to buy everybody else drinks and wanting to buy his woman drinks and stuff like that. And I think she was a little bit embarrassed. Maybe I'm wrong, but she just kept looking at him and
I'm hoping honestly though, Dana, and this is a real kind of thing I'm thinking about doing. That I'm over completely like getting autographs at conventions or meeting people at conventions. I'm over that now for sure. But I think we should have like one last kind of like dead pit kind of, get together thing at a show where we just anybody from the old message boards or anybody that wants to show up or whatever. I don't know what show that would be, but one of these upcoming shows we ought to try to do that.
I think so too, and I think Wes is on board for it, as far as I know. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
that would be awesome because I'm kind of I'm not quite to the point where I'm ready to stop meeting people, but I'm getting closer to that spot where even for the last few years, it's been all about hanging out with friends at these things more
yeah,
than it is, oh, I got to meet this person. I got to meet that person. I got to get this autograph or that autograph. It's not about that really anymore, unless it is somebody like Sam Raimi, who I've got now. But I want to hang out with my friends. I miss being able to hang out with you guys and some of the other people that I hung out with at the beginning. Um, and we don't get to do that anymore. Like it was just lucky that me and Steve saw you at that last convention.
yeah.
It was just
That's
kind
what I'm
of luck of
saying.
the draw because my my cousin Jed was there at that show and we didn't even see each other.
That was a huge show, though. You could easily like not see anybody at that show. But that's why I want it to be something like smaller, like Fright Night would be good because that show's always small. Scarefest has gotten bigger, but it's still not as big as like those Comic Cons. So that
No.
might be one too. I think Whorehound's pretty much crazy now, though.
Mm.
So she's gonna shoot him in the dick.
She had a good angle right
She
there.
should have. Is it? Did I lose my mind, or did she regain her eyesight?
She did.
Yeah.
I think it all goes back to trauma when she was a child that caused her to be blind. So I guess more trauma maybe makes her able to see. And I
I
don't
don't think it works that way.
No, I don't think
Okay.
it does either. You remember? Well, I don't know if you ever watched Little House on the Prairie, Uncle Bill, but after Mary went blind and she went to the blind school and she met Adam and she ended up marrying Adam and Adam was blind too. There was an episode later where Mary didn't regain her sight, but Adam fell during some point and hit his head and regained his sight
Huh.
again.
Yeah.
Um, and so that kind of is what this reminds me of. It's like trauma caused you to go blind, so then more trauma helps you get regain it. I don't know. I'm like you though. I don't think it works that way.
No. But whatever. Pretty sure he's not dead. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I'm pretty sure too. Gosh, she is. The more and more I look at this, how young she looks.
Yeah.
That's some red blood there.
It's like Kool-Aid.
Must be that 3M blood. Oh wow, Scott. I don't know if we could get everybody out to Pasadena. He's saying you all should come out to Pasadena for the Halloween convention this fall. Is that H45 thing or whatever the heck it is that Sean
Yeah.
is talking about?
I'd love to do that. That'd be amazing and all, but there ain't no way you go out to
I
California.
wouldn't be able to get Steve out there. I know he'd say, nope,
No.
nope, we're not going out there.
You can't get Steve to go down to the pizza place. Bulls, you ain't gonna even go down to California.
Well, I did get him out today to go. Of course, I offered to pay. Um,
Yeah. That's a
because
big part of it.
I I don't know how many of you in here. Some of you might have heard Steve talk about this last night, but last weekend was Mother's Day, right?
Yeah.
So Steve was gonna take me to King Buffet, which is a new Chinese buffet place that opened in Louisville recently. And so he said, I'll take you for Mother's Day. I'll take you to King Buffet. So we drove down there, and there was a line coming out of that restaurant. And Steve was like, I don't think we're going to get in there. I said, I don't think so either. I said, why don't we just go to Chili's? We can turn around and go to Chili's. That's fine. It's okay. We can eat here another time. Okay.
Right.
So Steve said, well, why don't we drive down to the Highlands and see, what we can find there? And he got the big idea to uh, eat at the Bristol, which is a kind of like fancy place. And Steve's took me there before, and they have a brunch on Sundays. Well, Steve was thinking, it won't be super cheap, but it won't be. He never dreamed it would be as expensive as it turned out to be, and it was because it was Mother's Day. Okay, so we got our brunch. You know, you got eggs, bacon, sausage, all that stuff, and then you've got some things like macaroni and roast and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we ate, and then the girl brought the bill, and I saw Steve looking at it, and he's just like his eyes have glazed over, and I'm like, oh no, something's wrong here, something's wrong. And I was I was getting ready to ask him. I was like, something wrong? What's wrong? And about then the waitress come over, and Steve said, ma'am, he says, this right? And she looked at it and she said, yeah, it's right. He said, $87. And she said, yeah, it for Mother's Day, the Mother's Day brunch is X number of dollars per person. And Steve kind of let out a sigh, but got out his wallet and stuck his
I
debit
mean, where
card
you?
in. But I did feel bad for him because $87, I was like Steve. Steve said, so it's Mother's Day and people are bringing their mothers to eat at a nice restaurant and you're going to rape them for that amount of
Yeah,
money.
pretty much.
Yeah. So
Let me tell
I
you
was,
something.
uh-huh.
You better never ever take Steve to Disney World then, or Disneyland, or any place like that, because
We ain't
I
never.
multiple times on that trip, I paid over like $200-300 for a dinner. So he'd shit his pants about that.
Well, I mean, we did go to the King Buffet today, and people might think this is weird. I don't know how many other restaurants do this, but when you go in this place, you pay up front before they even seat you.
Yeah, there's a lot of places that do that. Yeah.
This is the first one I've ran into where you pay and they take the tip out then too.
Oh wow. Okay.
At this place, they do. They take their like 10 or 15%. I think they take 10% out. And then on your ticket, if you want to be really super generous and give them 15% or 20%, you can. But I was like, at that point, they're not waiting on us. This is a buffet.
That's
So
I don't understand that shit. Just to get into that for a second, like I understand tipping and everything for like regular restaurants, but at a
exactly.
buffet, why the fuck are you tipping somebody at a buffet? You're going up there and doing everything. Like they ain't
I
doing
mean,
nothing.
they're clearing the plates, but again, I wasn't going to go over 10% for that. I mean,
Yeah.
so there was a group of a lot more people. There was just two, me and Steve, and I think it cost about $40 for two of us to eat,
That's
which
not bad.
that's not bad. That's about average.
Way things are now, yeah.
But the people in front of us, there were several of them, and it was like 80 something dollars or something like that for them to eat. And Steve looked at me and his eyes got wide. I said, yeah, but Steve, they got a lot more people than we do. There's just the two of
Well, I'm
us.
I'm glad you got to go out, Dane, and
Uh,
actually like paid
what?
for it.
Well, I didn't have to pay for the Bristol thing, but boy, I really
Yeah.
did feel bad for Steve. Steve said, "I just don't." He got to the point where he said, "I just don't want to talk about it anymore because it's just making me mad or talking about it."
I don't feel bad for Steve. Steve needs to quit being such a tight ass and open up his wallet. Jesus Christ. You only live once, Dana. What's he gonna do with all that money? He's gonna be dead soon.
God,
Jesus.
I hope I like I said,
We're all gonna be dead soon.
yeah, I'll be 47 on my birthday, so I'm not getting any younger. And I'm like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, where is the time gone? Like I was thinking about how long I've known you and Wes,
Yeah.
and it's like I've known them that long. We've been friends that long. My
It's
God.
been God, if you think about it, Dana. I mean, we're going on almost 20 years. I mean, 17 years, something like that. So it's kind of crazy.
I mean, I'm glad I've got you guys as friends, but it's wild that it's just
Yeah.
wild.
Well, when you,
I mean,
I think of the same thing. It's really weird that like the Dead Pit show was like almost 20 years ago. It started in 2005, so it's almost been 20 years since that show, and it always seems like it was yesterday.
and
And all that stuff.
I didn't start listening to you guys. I didn't discover you guys until like December of 2008.
Yeah, yeah,
And that is long ago too. I just like,
yeah.
oh man. Speaking of Sean Clark, did you see that video where he was in the car accident? That chick hit him, ran through a red light and hit him.
No, huh?
I mean, he's okay, but I mean, that had to be scary because he said she flew through that red light.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you need to smack Steve in his bucking bald head and be like, it could happen at any time, Steve. Let's spend some money now and do some shit because we could
Well,
be dead.
I've been telling him that for a lot of reasons, and I've mentioned this before. Him and his sister virtually have no relationship at all. No sister and brother relationship. It's like they're two complete strangers. And I told Steve, I said, Steve, I said, everything could just blow up tomorrow, or something could happen to one of you guys. And I said, you guys need to work on repairing your relationship before something like that happens. And he said, Dana, I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't want to talk to her. And she feels the same way about him. And I said, you know what? That's just sad because my brother and I, there's 6 years between us, and we've always been fairly close. Um, and Uncle Bill's probably thinking, well, I'm an only child, so I don't have that. And I know CK's an only child too,
Yeah, isn't that wild?
mm,
I mean, we're both like, yeah,
but you probably think of each other like it's your brother because you
yeah,
guys have been so close for so long. But my brother is that's my only sibling I got, and I couldn't imagine not being able to openly talk to him or text him or whatever, or call him, message him, whatever, or see him on holidays and have a conversation. See, that's the thing. Steve and his sister they don't even see each other on holidays. We generally will go to Steve's mom's apartment for Christmas Eve. And used to, Debbie and her husband and Steve's niece Shelby would all be there and we'd all open presents together. But for whatever reason, Debbie and her husband just decided they don't want to associate with me and Steve no more. So
hmm,
they start coming up with little excuses. First, it was COVID, why they didn't want to come hang around us, but yet Shelby will come and hang out with us. Shelby's the only one from that family that will come and associate with us. And then um, they stopped even giving us presents. And here's the thing about presents, I'm not a person that needs, you don't have to get me elaborate gifts or anything. It's just the thought to me that counts.
Yeah.
And I told Steve this, I said, they could have got me a candy bar and put a Christmas bow on it. And I would have been happy with that. $1 candy bar or $1.50 candy bar, whatever they are now. I said, but they got nothing, or we got nothing from them. No kiss my foot, no happy holidays, no Christmas card, no anything. And I haven't done anything to anybody. And so my feelings were really hurt the first year that they did that. First, they didn't want to be around us, but they sent their gifts to Steve's mom's house, or her apartment rather. And then the presents just stopped. But yet, Shelby, her boyfriend, they love him. And he's a nice guy. I like him too. There's nothing wrong with him. But they got him a present and they invite him to their house and yada, yada, yada. And I just feel like I'm the bastard stepchild that nobody wants to have around, you know. And Steve keeps
Well,
telling me,
you
he said, it's not you, Dana. It's not you. I said, well, what is it? He says it's because Debbie don't want to be around me, and he said, frankly, I don't want to be around her either. I said, but what difference does that make? Why do I have to be punished because you don't
it's
want to
just
get along?
guilt by association. You know what I mean? Like just the fact that you're there.
Well, and I hope Steve's mom or nobody ever watches these videos. I don't think they will. But I feel like just because Steve married a normal girl instead of marrying a really rich girl or a girl from a rich family. See, Shelby's boyfriend, he's nice and all. He's not stuck up or anything like that. But he's rich, his family's rich.
Mm-hmm.
And, they can't help it. That's just the way it is. And her I think Shelby's mom and dad are really, Steve says I'm wrong on this, but I think they're status seekers. They
Mm.
think they're rich, so they only want to associate themselves with other people that have that same type of status. And you know me, Uncle Bill, I don't have that. I'm just your average woman. I'm nothing special. I'm definitely not rich. Um, and I just think that they don't like me because of that.
You're probably right, Dana.
After I talked it out, yeah, I'm right.
No, I mean who knows really,
Yeah.
but like some people are like that. Like some people are status seekers like that, and that's what they do, and that's textbook kind of narcissism. But
Mhm.
you never know the reasons behind these things. Like I'll bet if he sat down and thought about it, he's probably not even really clear on why like Steve and his sister don't like each other at this point. They probably don't even fucking know anymore.
Well, Steve used to always say Debbie judged him all the time. I said, "What do you mean she judged you?" He said, "She's always saying I act like a kid. I'm immature, yada yada yada." And I said, "Well," I said, "me and my brother have thought one or the other's. He's thought I was immature. I've thought he's immature, but we still talk. We don't, you know,
Yeah.
we
Well, and then
don't stop talking to each other."
something that I learned, from everything that happened with dad and everything is you don't know, like I said, what's going to happen with people. You should try to spend as much time with your family as you possibly can because, like, at any point in time, some crazy shit can and will happen, and that'll be it. And then you'll be
Yep.
sitting around being like, I wish I would have done this, this, or this. And it'll be too late by then. And that's just kind
Mhm.
of the way life is.
But the thing about you and your dad, though, I mean, I don't know anything that would have happened in more recent years, but when you would talk about your dad and when you were growing up and stuff, it seemed like you and your dad were always pretty close.
Oh, yeah. We had a great relationship. Like, there
Mhm.
wasn't anything What anything? We were never like estranged or anything like that. It didn't
which is
happen that way.
good.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm just saying there will come a point in time where no matter how close you were with somebody, like
mhm.
you'll feel like once they're gone that you wish you would have done certain things
Yeah.
differently. And if there's shit you can correct now,
Uh-huh.
then you better just go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I felt that in spades, both when my granny passed away, my mom's mom, and then more recently, my dad's mom passed away. And it took everything I had to not break down at the funeral.
mhm,
Um, because they were sitting there talking about my gran and I was looking, they had pictures coming up on a screen of her that everybody in the family had gotten together. And it was so hard to look at that. I mean, a lot of those were happy pictures, and I remembered some of the things. Some of the things were from before I was born, so I wouldn't remember, but there were things that I remember when I was little because there were pictures of me and my cousins when we were little with my gran and stuff like that. And I'm like, I remember some of that stuff on the holidays and things like that. And I felt so well when mom told me she passed because she had a stroke,
yeah,
and it was a pretty bad stroke, and she couldn't talk. She knew who people were, she knew people were there. She would smile at them and stuff like that. And they had her in rehab at the nursing home.
yeah,
And mom called and told me about that. And then people are probably going to laugh because not because she passed away, but because we were on our way to go see Evil Dead Rise when I got the call from mom that she had passed. And it just hit me all of a sudden. This was my final living grandparent.
mhm,
And I started crying. I told mom, I said, I have no grandparents left living. And Steve looked over at me and kind of patted my leg and he said, do you want to go back home? I said, no. I said, I want to go see this movie and I need something to distract me. And so then that got me started thinking about the time's coming when I'm going to get the call about mom and dad. And
yeah,
it's inching ever closer, and I don't want it to get here, but I know it's going to.
yeah,
Because it's just going to happen to all of us. Nobody can
yeah.
live forever, unfortunately.
And that's really, to me, I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, when something happens to one of your parents, that's really, I mean, if you're close to your parents, I'll put it that way.
Hmm.
That's really the first big like life test that you'll go through. Like up until that point, um, unless something truly like traumatic has happened to you, when you were a kid or something like that, when you lose a parent, like that's the first time it's really like, oh, well, this is real. Like this is fucking like reality,
Yep.
big time kind of stuff,
Hmm.
when that happens. So, I mean, it really did change everything. It changed my whole perspective about everything because here's this person you grew up with your entire life. You looked at them a certain way, and then they're just not there. And then sometimes you just think that they are there because it's such a part of your life that it's like you forget. And even to this day, and it's just bizarre. Anybody
About
that's been through it,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I did that with my granny
mm,
right after, probably about the first month after she passed, or at least the first few weeks after she passed. I kept thinking, Steve and I got to go to the nursing home and see Granny. And then I was like, no, you can't go see Granny. She's gone.
yeah,
And and mom said she was the same way. She was like, I got to go see mother. And then she was like, oh, well, I can't go see mother
yeah,
anymore. Um, and I I'm feeling the same way about Gran now. Sometimes I forget and think, oh, me and Steve need to go visit her. And that was one of the big regrets I had with Gran after she passed was I should have went and visited her more.
Hmm.
And
Well, I honestly think you think that no matter what, you know what I mean? Like,
regardless of how
yeah.
many times you visit them, because I'm sure with your dad, I'm sure you went and visited him as much as you
Oh,
possibly
I
could.
basically lived over there for like the past or for the last uh I'd say year that he was alive. I mean, I lived over there a lot. I would stay over there. I would go there every day and then I would stay sometimes like the last couple months I was spending the night over there and stuff and staying with him because it was getting progressively worse and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any regrets about any of that because like I was there, the
Yeah,
whole time doing like everything that I possibly could do. Um, but there are times in the past where I think back about, where we would get into fights about stuff and just stuff that really didn't matter to where I wish that, that hadn't happened that
mhm.
way because it cost us time that we could have, had.
Yeah, that's why I don't ever, I've said before, I give Steve grief, but and I've said things about Steve that, ultimately I regret and I'm going to continue to regret every day of my life. Um, but the 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 fact is that I mean I could go before Steve. I could. We don't. Nothing's promised to anybody. But if the logic goes that usually the older person will go before the person that's younger. So if the
Right.
law of averages holds, he'll go before I do. Um, but there is about 7 years between me and Steve, which is not a lot now. Like when I was young, though, I would have been jailbait and he would have went to prison if we had a relationship. But now it does, when he's in his 50s and I'm aging closer to 50, that 7 years doesn't matter a hill of beans. Um,
Right.
but I think about that stuff. That's one thing I don't ever like to be so angry with him that we don't say goodnight to each other. We don't tell each other we love each other because, as you said, tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
Yep. That's what
And
I'm saying.
that's why I always encourage Steve. I was like, you would think that Steve would think about things like that because he lost his dad at a pretty young age. I never met his dad. His dad was already gone by the time Steve and I got together. And his dad, I believe, passed away from lung cancer,
Hmm.
is what he passed from. And Steve had I guess, a tumultuous relationship with his dad. They never really had a what I would call a good father son relationship. But I think part of Steve's issues, and permit me, guys, to get a little personal here. I haven't lost everybody yet. There's still 8 people in here. Uh, I don't think Steve ever got closure because he and his dad didn't have a great relationship. His dad would even, like, here's something weird that I've never heard of between a, a father and his kids. And I've told Steve this. I was like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Like, if my dad had something or my mom had something, some object that they were not using anymore, and I could use it, whether it be, a VCR back in the old days or a DVD player later on or whatever, um, then they would just give it to us. They'd say, hey, they'd ask me or my brother, do you guys have a use for this? We don't have a use for this anymore. Would you want it? And then, of course, if we didn't want it, they'd either try to give it to somebody else or sell it off. Okay. What Steve's dad would do is he would say, "Hey, Steve, you want this movie I got?" And he would sell it to Steve. Steve said that they sold the same movie back and forth to each other about 3 times. I
That's
said,
got to
"You
be one of
gotta
the
be
weirdest
kidding."
things I've ever heard, Dana. Yeah.
No, but his dad was like that. He wouldn't like. I think one time Steve said Debbie was going to a basketball game at the high school when she was still in high school, and she wanted a few bucks to be able to get her a soft drink and snacks at the ball game. Steve's dad refused to give it to her. She had to get it from Steve's mom.
Yeah, I think that explains a lot.
That
I think
that in a nutshell explains
yeah,
a lot about why Steve is the way he is.
yeah.
Because there were other things Steve told me that one, his dad was an alcoholic. Two, his dad suffered from depression. Three, his dad, because of those things, separated himself from the entire family. He
Mhm.
didn't want anything to do with Steve's mom. He didn't want anything to do with Steve and Debbie. He just separated himself completely. And I think that hurts Steve. No matter what he says, I think that hurts Steve.
Well, part of that too could be it could be a couple of different things. Um, it could be the fact of like not wanting your family to see you that way because you know how you are, or it could be narcissism in a way of just like not giving a shit about anything except that, and not wanting to deal with the stress of actually taking care of a family.
Mm.
So you isolate yourself and drink and shit, and like that becomes your life. So it's one of
Well,
those two.
and I don't think Steve's dad, Steve never, of course, he could block stuff out. He said his dad never hit him, never hit Debbie. But I heard his mom say, and she said this on more than one occasion, and I don't think she would lie about it, that Steve's dad walked up to her one day and slapped her out of a chair.
Hmm.
And she threw him out of the house several times, Steve said. She stopped the car one time and told him to get out because he was being, belligerent. He would call her names. He would do this and that. He would not hold down a job. Steve said he got where he just would not hold down a job, and Steve's
Hmm.
mom had to go out and support the family. If Steve and Debbie needed school clothes, guess what? Marianne had to buy those clothes.
And that's what I say when I say the narcissism part. Like it's just like especially with alcoholism, um, you just you lose any kind of care for people. Plus, you get extremely like irritable, agitated
Mm.
over the smallest amount of things, and you lose that what's the word for it? That that barrier. What am I trying to say here, Dane? The barrier that keeps you from doing like
Oh,
shit you wouldn't normally do, like
your inhibitions and
inhibition.
things, yeah.
Yeah, just
You'll
because the
just
alcohol.
do and say anything.
Yeah, it just takes that away from you. So, if you have any kind of tendency to be violent, but you're able to control it, you won't be able to control it while you're drinking. And if you have any tendency to be a dickhead, it'll come out, when you're
So
drinking.
the thing about Steve, though, and I'm not wanting to say he's a dickhead or anything, but when he gets like, and I'm not going to spill a bunch of dirty laundry out on here. There's things that I could tell that I won't. But, when Steve was drinking, and I hate to say this, his personality was a lot better. He was more easygoing. No,
I'm
seriously,
sorry, Dana. I
seriously.
was just that idea. Like Steve needs to start drinking again because like shit.
No, well, I don't really want him to start drinking again because he's worked hard to get where
Shit.
he is. Um,
That caught me off
but
guard.
Steve was, and people find this hard to believe, I'm sure, but Steve was more loving. He was more sympathetic. Um, all of those things. And now that he's basically quit drinking altogether.
Mhm.
Occasionally he has a hard seltzer here, very rarely. But anyways, when I first met Steve, he would drink every weekend. He would drink every weekend, and people that saw him at conventions when he was during his drinking days, he drank pretty hard at those things too.
Oh yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
I mean, except for
Including me. And
yeah.
I don't blame anybody for me starting to drink more, and I've curbed my drinking way back because I saw myself getting to a point where it would be too easy to lose control of anything and just start drinking constantly all the time, and I did not want to get to that point. Now, do I not have alcohol in the house? Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. I got whiskey back in the refrigerator now, but I don't have an urge to get it out as much. Every once in a while, I'll pour me some Fireball whiskey and drink it,
Mhm.
or I'll have a margarita. Or if we go out to a Mexican place, I might have a margarita, or I might have one mixed drink or something. But I don't. I was getting to the point where it was too fun to drink,
Mhm.
and the temptation was too much. And when I got sick that last time because I pulled that stunt during the champagne and bullets watch along,
Well,
I
that's
said
probably
I'm not doing it anymore. I
partially my
quit.
fault on that one, Dana.
No, no, I can't blame anybody for myself, but myself for that, because you know, you were playing around saying, "Drink, Dana, drink." But I am an adult. If I didn't want to do it, then I wouldn't have done it. And so I shouldn't have done it. And Dirk was throwing money at Dead Pit, and I can't blame Dirk either because I'm my own person. It's not like I'm an infant, and
Yeah.
it's not like somebody was saying, "You will drink this," and hold me down and pouring drinks down me. I was fully in charge of my own body at the beginning, at least, and then I kept on, and like I said, it got too fun and too easy just to keep drinking. But let me tell you, I thought I was going to die, and then I wanted to die that
Mhm.
night. When you cannot even stand upright and you're crawling from one room to the other to throw up in the bathroom, you've reached rock
Ah,
bottom pretty much, and you better do something
I
to
had
change
let me
that.
tell you, like I had a similar experience to that, and this is when I really stopped drinking. Like, um, I guess this would have been almost 10 years ago, and I was at a conference for work,
Mhm.
and they had at night they would have parties, and they would have like wine and beer and stuff like that. Well, one of those nights, I drank way too much, and the next morning my boss who was there and the guy that I work with were gonna like get awards at an awards banquet,
Oh boy.
and I was so fucking hungover that I was like throwing up and I couldn't even go to it, and like I just at that point was like, this I probably not need to ever do this again. You know what I mean? And like I was getting too old for it too. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
recover quick enough. Like I spent that whole next day sick. And when it gets to that point, you're like, it's time to stop. Your body's trying to tell you, like I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
able.
giving you warning signs,
Yeah.
definitely. And I had warning signs in spades that next day. And I've told this story before too. I was supposed to go see my dad and my uncle, who have gotten into the buying and selling game. They go to all these different sales and stuff, or then they'll go to auctions and buy a bunch of stuff and then they'll resell it. So they were in Louisville for a sale, and my dad doesn't come to Louisville very often. And him and my mom have only come to visit me and Steve only 2, 3 times the whole time me and Steve have been married. And we've been married almost 10 years now. And boy, that blows my mind too. But, anyways, I was supposed to see Dad that Saturday after I pulled that stunt in that watch along. And I thought I was going to be okay. And I called my mom that morning and I said, I just want to make sure where I'm supposed to meet Dad and Scotty at. And she was telling me, and I got feeling really sick while I was talking to her. And I was ashamed. I didn't want to tell her, "Hey, Mom, I got drunk and I'm hung over now, and I'm still sick." Um, so I said, "Mom, I'm going to be sick. I got to lay the phone down." And I barely got to the bathroom and threw up my breakfast burrito from Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That's probably why I don't want to eat the breakfast burrito
Yeah.
from Taco Bell anymore.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there.
And then I came back to the phone. I said, "I'm sorry, Mom." And she said, "Well, you all right, Dana? You don't have stomach flu, do you?" And again, guilt washed over me. I didn't want to tell my mother that I had been drinking like that the night before.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, I told her about it later, but I just couldn't tell her about it then. And so I thought, God, am I even going to be able to make it to go see my dad and uncle? Am I going to just keep throwing up like this? And I think I threw up one more time before me and Steve were supposed to leave. And then my stomach seemed to settle a little bit, but
Yeah.
I still wasn't feeling real great. So my dad asked my mom, or he talked to her on the phone later because he and my uncle were staying in a hotel because they were there in Louisville for the whole weekend. But so when he called to talk to my mom, he said, "I think Dana was sick or something." He said, "She didn't say a whole lot." And it was because I was hungover. And I told my mom about, I waited a week to tell her because I
That's
was so
that's
ashamed.
that's a good move. Yeah.
And I said, "Mom, I don't want to keep this from you." Because she was asking me if I was pregnant. And I knew I wasn't pregnant. She was worried that, you know,
Yeah.
I, that was going to be the next thing, that I was going to have a baby. And mom's convinced that I don't need one. And probably at the age me and Steve are now, we don't need one, honestly. Um, so I told her, I said, "No, Mom, I am not pregnant." I said, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I said, I got drunk the night before and I explained about the watch along and all that stuff. And she said, "Dana, Dana, Dana." I said, "I know, Mom." I said, "But I'm never going to do that
Yeah.
again." And I said, "Please don't tell Dad." I said, "Because it bothers me even more for my dad to know than it does my mom." I don't know why really, other than I was such a daddy's girl growing up, and I don't want Dad to be disappointed in me, and
Yeah.
I was worried that he would be. But Mom, she had to watch an alcoholic father growing up. My dad had 2 brothers that were alcoholics, one of which I've told this story several times. My Uncle Johnny, basically, I mean, he killed himself because of alcohol and because of other things that were going on with him. So that was a really traumatic thing that happened to me when I was 13. And that's something you would think I would never touch a drink of alcohol after seeing what it did to
Well,
my Uncle Johnny. But
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, and I'm really not bullshitting about this. Alcohol was never. I never really got addicted to alcohol. Like I could drink, at those shows or drink whenever and stuff, and like, but I never had to like drink every day, and I never got sick from not drinking. It just never clicked with me. Like alcohol was not one of those things. It does with some people for sure. Like
oh
it,
yeah.
it, it clicks with them to the point where they, drink all day, every day, and they, whatever. But I just never. But I think, like what I was saying, what happened with me was it just got to a point where I just got too old to recover from the, hangovers or whatever too.
Mm.
But some people, it's just, I think it's got to have something to do with genetics. Like it just clicks with a part of your brain, and some people it just never does. Like, and you can drink and never really get dependent on it like that, I guess.
Well, and my dad, he saw my Uncle Johnny when like my mom and dad hadn't been married very long. and I heard Dad tell this story many, many times, that Johnny would come to their house after they first got married, just completely falling on his ass drunk. And Dad would always get slightly irritated with him and tell him, Johnny, go home,
Yeah.
or, he wouldn't want him to drive home, but he would be like, let me take you home. You need to like sleep this off or whatever. Because Johnny would show up crying. I love everybody. That's how he would be most of the
Yep.
time. He would just
Yep.
be the crying, emotional drunk. And then Dad said one time he came to the house and he must have been on something other than alcohol. He must have been on some kind of street drugs because Dad said he was violent. This was totally not like Johnny. He was wanting to kill somebody. He was getting out a knife and swinging it around.
Mhm.
And Dad got really angry because I think I was a baby then, and there was Mom there. There was me as a baby, and he didn't want, he got really angry with Johnny, and he said, "You get out of here and don't come back until you can, you know, act right." And so Dad just went in the house and closed the door at that point. But he said that Johnny had to be on something other than alcohol because at no other time did he act like that. Waving knives around and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
You never know what that shit's gonna do. Like either depending on what you're drinking too.
Yeah, he could have got a hold to something that was a little bit stronger than,
Hmm.
and it affected him a certain way. But my granddaddy, um, he got stabbed he would go out to bars and literally drink his whole paycheck up. When he got paid, he'd head straight to the bars.
Hmm.
And my granny would not see him all weekend, or he would come home, and Mom said she was so embarrassed when her and my dad started dating that she wanted to bring him over to the house. And she said almost every time she brought Dad to the house, Granddaddy was either there drunk or he would come in drunk.
That's great.
And he'd be falling down. And one Christmas Eve, he passed out under the Christmas tree and just uh, fell. And I think one time when Dad was there with Mom, he fell in the bathtub, and Dad had to help get him up out of the bathtub because he was drunk, and he fell. And Granny, many a times when Mom and her sisters were younger, she would go out to the bars. She wanted to be with Granddaddy so much. She loved him. She would actually try to go to the bars and drink with him just to be with him.
Yeah.
And Granddaddy had a couple of affairs and everything. My granny caught him in bed with another woman because she was out looking for him. She didn't know where Jimmy was, and she found him, but that's not the way she wanted to find him. And my mom said that my granddaddy had a child with that woman,
Hmm.
had a little girl. So my mom has a half sister somewhere that she has never met.
Hmm.
Granddaddy got with another woman, had another baby. So mom has, I think, a half sister and a half brother
Yep.
that she's never
Well,
met.
every family has that
Hmm.
person, you know, that person, or maybe multiple of those people. You know what I mean? Like, but at least one of those people who is either into alcohol or into drugs, and like that's their whole kind of thing.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot of stories.
There's probably a lot more I could tell,
Yeah,
but I won't bum everybody out by talking about.
but anyway, Eyes of a Stranger was great.
It was. It is a great movie, and I love having people on here. I do, but there have been times when we've had multiple people on here, and we didn't talk about the movie hardly at all. Like I think one time John was on here, and I don't think we talked 2 minutes about the movie. We were talking about other stuff.
Well,
Um,
that one has a couple of really cool death scenes and a good
mm,
performance by that guy. But like other than that, there's a lot of filler in that movie that's you kind of lends yourself to
and
talking.
it's not even a really. Ain't this one like an hour and 28 minutes? It's
It's
not
not
even.
long, no.
Yeah, 85 minutes. So what, an hour and 25 minutes?
Yeah,
So
but
no, it's not long at all. Um,
but I'm gonna tell you though, my computer is gonna die here in a couple of minutes.
oh
It's
no,
not plugged into anything. Uh, I had something I was gonna tell you, but I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So don't forget, Dana, that you're going to be in that commentary coming up soon
the
on
prom
the
night one.
show. Yeah, the prom night one.
No, okay. So now, so you're on here, and I could ask Wes about this, but when he messaged me about, I thought he talked to me on Thursday, and he said, "Do you want to do that prom night commentary a week from tomorrow?" Which I thought, okay, he's wanting to do it next Friday. So I was looking on y'all's channel for Dead Pit and it says the 28th, which is Sunday. I just want to verify, is that when we're doing it? Okay.
Hold on, let me look, make sure, because he like changes his mind on shit more than anybody ever seen
Mm.
about dates. Lord.
Yes, Mayor, you can come for the horror movies and stay for the therapy session.
Yeah. So it is on the 28th at 10. Yep.
All right, that is Sunday. Okay. I was just looking at I have a handy calendar right here so I can just glance at it. I mean,
But I
well,
think we covered all the bases though. Death, grief, alcoholism, substance use, Steve,
affairs,
affairs.
not affairs and Steve connected.
No, no.
I don't think Steve has enough energy to have an
I
affair.
was getting ready
He's
to say the
the
exact
first
same
one to
thing. You can't get Steve up out of bed. He's not doing anything.
oh man. But
Unless somebody's sneaking in his window while he's asleep in there, then there ain't no chance of that.
so since Uncle Bill says his computer's about to die, I want to try to wrap this up pretty quickly before we lose him. But I do want to thank Uncle Bill for being gracious enough to
Oh,
come
yeah,
on here tonight so you don't just have to hear me ramble on about nonsense. Um, but it's always good to have somebody on here. And Uncle Bill, you're welcome to come on the one tomorrow night for Animal House if you can and you want to, and anybody else that wants to as well. Um, so, uh, so
that's a
what did you?
classic.
Yes, it is. So, Uncle Bill, did you hear me talk about? You maybe didn't hear me talk about. I'm gonna kind of. I've not been asked to, but I'm gonna fill in the blanks while the last drive-in's on hiatus.
Yeah, yeah. I heard you talk about that. Yeah.
So, you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because, like you said, like you could do like the shows, and then while people are waiting for that to come back, you kind of just fill in
Because
until
I'm
like
going to do the drive-in
June.
totals and everything, which means I'm going to have to go back and watch these movies
Yep.
prior to us actually watching them together. And I'm trying to get Darcy the mail girl on the first one. I did message her on Twitter. I'm going to see if she knows
See, that's
about.
the thing though. Twitter and Instagram stuff like that. I try messaging these people on those platforms, but
And
I
it
feel like
doesn't.
they get so many messages on there and
I
shit
think
that they
so
don't.
too.
Yeah, they don't ever reply. It's not like it used to be with being able to do stuff like that. I
So maybe
wish I
I'll get
knew.
lucky this time, but don't hold your breath on that
I
one.
wish I knew another like contact way of getting a hold of these people rather than like just going through those kind of outlets because I feel like they get way too much shit in there to like weed through it or anything.
Right. Um,
But it's a good idea though. I tell you, I'm looking forward to you doing it. I tell you what I'm getting ready to do though, and I'm going to ask you to probably be on one of these shows. I've decided that my next thing, because I haven't done one of these things in a long time. So, I did the weekend at Freakins, and I did the, Tuesdays with Fulci and all that.
I was on one of the Fulci ones. I did that.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So the next one is going to be called Uncle B. I can't say it. Uncle Bill's Tour of Italy. So it's going to
Cool.
be different, like Italian films that are not like Argento or Fulci, like the lesser known ones. Like
Awesome.
and Wes was thinking about doing something like called the Never Ending Giallo Bowl, where it's like, you
I
know,
like it.
you just do like Giallo movies and shit.
Uh,
Uh, so I don't know. So like for instance, I'm thinking of doing like Torso being one of them. I know you don't like Torso, so I'm not gonna ask you to be on that one. So Torso's gonna be one of them.
I can talk about how I don't like it.
No, that's fine. And every by the way, every one of them's gonna have a different co-host. So like
Okay.
I'll do that one. Then I might do something else like Franco movie or something like that. I don't know. I haven't decided like exactly what's going to be on there. Um, but just different Italian films that are not maybe as recognized as the Argento and Fulci ones.
That sounds cool. Yeah, if you anytime you want me to be on, just let me know. I'm uh I'm game for most anything anymore. Steve
Yeah,
says I spend too much time back here. He's like every day he asks me, "Are you streaming tonight? Are you streaming tonight?"
I think by this point I wouldn't even fucking ask you because I know you streaming. I'd just be like, I just deal with it.
But I told Steve, and I'll try and make this quick because I'm afraid I'm going to lose Uncle Bill here. I,
It's
I
on five. You got 5% right now, Dan. So
5%.
however
I don't
long that
know how
lasts.
long that is, but anyways, um, I told Steve that I love doing these things because there's such a sense of community, and I don't mean to make him feel bad, but I said, Steve, basically, we don't even hardly see each other. I said, you come in from work and you get straight in the bed. And on the weekends, he kind of gets irritated with me because I'm usually back here planning for a watch along or some other kind of stream. And I said, but you you don't want me to talk to you, Steve. So I would rather go back here. I mean, I know that sounds ugly, but that's really how I feel.
It's the
Uh,
reality of it.
so
Yeah.
I would rather go back and get on here and talk to people in the chat or talk to you or whoever is on wants to be on here live with me because it keeps me from being lonely.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, a lot of times, like if the kids are in bed and stuff like that, and a lot of times they go to bed, before I even start doing these streams, sometimes not, of course, but um, yeah, I want to do something too that's like related to because I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, we are around these people all the time. Like in my, with you and Steve and me and Savannah, like we're around them all the time. So sometimes it's nice to go in and be around, different people, talk about different shit like that you wouldn't normally talk about, not have the same, conversations and stuff as you could do. And
well,
that,
with Steve, it's zero conversation. I'm sure you and Savannah have conversations. We have like it's like there's a no talking zone or something
well,
between them.
but I feel like that to a certain degree, another Dana, that's like every like relationship that's been going on for a long time. Like I just feel that that's probably the case too. Like, I'm sure that every now and then Wes likes to get away from Sarah and do some of these fucking streams too. And that's just because, like,
She
they've
may want to
been
get away from him. It's like,
that
go
I'd
focus,
say she
please.
probably does. I guarantee she does. Like, yeah. If she can
Go away
figure
and leave
like
me alone.
if she can figure out a gimmick in the stream, I guarantee she'd be on one. Yeah.
Oh man.
You got
Well,
1% remaining, Dana.
I got to get off here. So, and Uncle Bill's going to go black here soon.
Yeah.
So, whoop, he's going to be gone. So, I want to thank Uncle Bill again for being on here with me. And Uncle Bill might have just froze. He may be gone. But I want to thank those of you that were in the chat as well. This has been fun. I hope you guys will join me for the Animal House watch along tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. and look forward to all the things I got upcoming. I really do think Uncle Bill is gone here. I don't know how long he's going to stay frozen on there. But, anyways, with all that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.